Good afternoon and welcome to the Goods Property Services WA State League competition. Alexander Park versus Cottesloe in round 10 of the men's State League competition. Unfortunately, due to the heat rule, we were to call the Alexander Park versus Royal Kings Park women's State League competition. 38 degrees. The girls have decided to call it off, and we're just waiting for the men's match to commence. We're seeing the hit up at the moment. My name is Brett Patten, sitting alongside Rhys MacDougall, the coach of Mount Tennis Club, one of the great coaches in WA and the over 45s Australian singles champion. And Rhys, I mean, it's been an interesting day. The heat rule has had its part in today in not allowing us to get the women's match up and running. But we're seeing number 1 rated Cottesloe in the Goods Property Services State League competition up against the number 3 rated Alexander Park. Beautiful conditions out here, just a little bit over 37.9 degrees. Grass course, Alexander Park, a small breeze. What are you expecting from today's match?
Yeah, look, I think today's going to be very close, isn't it? It's going to be a close fought battle. They're one of the, team number 1 and team number 3. So my thoughts here are that I think the home team potentially might get over the top here. I mean, it's looking across all 4 courts now. As you said, the women have they're not playing, so there's 4 courts being played. We're looking at court number 1, Daniel Downey and Scott Jones. This should be a good match. Daniel's a fantastic player on grass. Scott's also very equipped on grass as well. So the favourite of this match would have to be Scott Jones here. But look, I have to say this is going to come down to the wire. And having 4 courts, this match is going to get this rubber. This whole tie is going to get complete. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I'll back the underdogs, probably.
Third rated Alexander Park. And as we switch across to number 2, we're seeing at the closest end to the camera, Hann, left-handed, terrific player, Hann, big serve, good all-court game. He's coming up against Jerome Iaconi. Now, Jerome was a prodigious talent. He is a student of yours too. Rhys, you do coach him down there at Mount Tennis Club. He won the Australian Open Juniors as far as the Australian Classic was concerned a couple of years ago, which is part of the Pizzy Cup. So it was the best school children's competition. And he is about 19 years of age. He deferred college going to America. He was given a place at college. But he's decided to stay here, study in Perth and play for Alexander Park in the semi-pro competition. This is going to be an interesting match too. 2 very, very good players. You can see, the strongly built Hann as he walks closer to the camera. Left-hander on grass. Jerome Iaconi, more of a baseliner. What are you expecting from this match today?
Yeah, great match up here. We've got, like you said, a great lefty player on grass. Really hard to play against Will. He's got that lefty serve. He's going to drag Jerome off the court when he needs to. I think, in saying that as well, Jerome's backhand is actually quite strong. So once he gets a handle on that, I mean, it's going to really take Will to be serving well here. But this should be a great matchup for sure.
Cracking match, and both players at the top of their game. Both around about 20, 21 years of age. And, like we made mention earlier before, on court number 1, Dan Downey serving closest to the camera, as you can see there, hitting up against Scotty Jones. Now, Scotty Jones, we've spoken a lot about Scotty over the broadcast. The best player in WA as far as State League and tournaments are concerned. WA Open winner. He hasn't lost a match in the WA State League in the first 10 rounds of this tournament so far. But Dan Downey will pose some problems. All-court game, big serve, great hands around the net, and does love the grass courts.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Dan Downey is you talk about Ash Barty, Dan Downey loves that slice backhand, so I'm sure we're going to see a lot of the slice backhand here with Dan Downey, and I guess we'll see how Scott handles that. Scott's a really accomplished player, so I'm sure he'll be able to deal with it, but that matchup's going to be great because Dan does bring something different to the table with that, slice backhand, continuous slice backhand. He can come over the backhand as well, but I expect he's going to hit a lot of slice backhands here today. And
due to the women's cancelling their State League match, all 4 courts will be in play today. You can see behind the court here, just in the distance of the camera, you'll have courts 3 and 4 in action. So number 1, number 2, number 3 and number 4 singles will be played here in the Men's State League round number 10, Alexander Park versus Cottesloe. And of course that'll be followed by the 2 doubles, which will be on the centre courts in front of the camera. Looking forward to this. The crowd is building up nicely here at Alexander Park. Great club here in the leafy suburb of Manoora. The temperature's around 38 degrees, so we're below where we need to be to get these matches on court. I mean, what does the temperature do to the quality of tennis or to the game style in WA? We know we're always a very hot state. On grass, though, compared to playing on hard, the grass would give it a little bit more forgiving with the heat. It's not that heat coming back up, shining onto your face. What are you expecting out here? Is the better conditioned athlete going to win today?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps. I mean, you know, as you know, Brett, we've been going through a hot period in WA, so all these players have been training in these conditions now for the last couple of months, really. You know, we've had many weeks over 40 degrees, so these guys are used to it. Just looking out here on the courts as well, it's really interesting to see that ball's really bouncing up nice and high as well. So the courts are rock hard. It's going to make for some really good tennis here. Like you said, the better athlete is going to have a better showing here. But most of these guys I know, and I work with a couple of these guys, they've been working really hard. So I'm sure they're going to be ready, and they're used to the conditions as well.
Yep, so the heat shouldn't bother them. WA, traditionally known for very hot summers. WA State League competition, sponsored by Goods Property Service. Clearly the premier team tennis competition throughout Australia. We have a lot of great players come across and play in these events. I know the Boucher, Harry Boucher and Ed Boucher are part of the Alexander Park team. They're rated inside the top 10, top 20 male players in Australia. So looking forward to them coming along later in this stages of this tournament or this competition and playing. And we're just witnessing the last couple of moments of Will Hann just returning some of the practicers for Jerome Iaconi. I'm really excited by this number 2 match, and we'll be flicking between number 2 and number 1 court. So Will Hann versus Jerome Iaconi from Alexander Park, and Dan Downey closest to the camera from Alexander Park up against Scott Jones furthest from the camera, undefeated this competition. Grass court tennis is a lot different from hard court tennis. You come from a hard court / grass court club. You've decided to play your state league for Mount Lawley on the hard court. What's the rationale behind playing on hard rather than grass, Rhys?
Yeah, as I said earlier, we've got a lot of younger guys coming through, so just for their development purposes, we opted to go for the hard courts. You know, a young 13-year-old Jake Dembo, and we've got another 16-year-old, is it 16, 17, Marco Murdoch now, who actually just won the tournament here at Alexander Park. That tournament was played on hard court as well just recently, so he's really in fine form now. And yeah, that was the main reason we obviously had to work with those young guys, and you know, our chances are always going to be enhanced by playing on the hard court as compared to the grass court.
Just waiting for the matches to commence here at Alexander Park Tennis Club, situated in the leafy suburb of Manoora. I keep repeating the leafy suburb. It is a leafy suburb here in Manoora. Beautiful spot, situated between North Perth, Yokine. I mean, it's a lovely little spot here. Alexander Park Tennis Club, established in 1932. It was Club of the Year at the Newcomb Industry Awards a few years ago, when they awarded the Newcomb Awards. This year it was jointly won by Ash Barty and Dylan Alcock. And of course, we had Taylor Preston win the Junior Sports Star, Female Sports Star of the Year. It was a remote Newcomb Awards this year. Looking forward to getting it back into full swing in 2023. As we're sticking with court number 2 to commence. Will Hann, closest to the camera from Cottesloe, up against Jerome Iaconi. You can see a little bit of breeze out here. The heat is subdued, but the breeze is really starting to come in. This will play a big part of this game, particularly with it coming from left to right across the screen.
Yeah, totally agree. That breeze has really picked up a bit now. You can see the umbrellas wafting away in the wind there, so you can see the breeze kicking in.
Oh, beautiful backhand deep down the line. You can hear the crowd go up as one here. Home crowd support here for Jerome Iaconi. Terrific defence there, but that's the play we'd expect from Will Hann, particularly with this breeze. Take the opportunity to get into the net. And for Jerome to win this match, he's got to come up with some terrific ground strokes and passing from the back of the court, Rhys.
Yeah, totally agree. I think Will make his way to the net a bit there. He won't be too worried about that passing shot there. It's one of those things, as you come to the net, you know you're going to get passed occasionally.
Let first serve. Of course, all players call their own lines. It's not like the Australian Open. We don't have Hawkeye here in play. So the players will call their own lines. Jerome Iaconi serving, Alexander Park. Beautiful 1-2 punch there. You've said that Jerome's been working on his forehand. He's changed the take back on his forehand. It was traditionally straight back and straight through. He's giving it a little bit more loop, and it seems to pay dividend, particularly on that forehand down the line. Yeah,
that was really really great to see. He's been working hard with that. He's just trying to lift that left arm a bit higher, lift that racket head a bit higher as well on the take back on his forehand. He's traditionally had a pretty small take back. So good to see that he actually unloaded on that forehand there.
Overcooking that second serve. Of course, some of the strengths of Jerome Iaconi, furthest from the camera, Alexander Park Tennis Club. Prodigious junior, won a lot of junior tournaments. Obviously, as I made mention earlier, won the Australian Schoolboys Classic, part of the Pizzy Cup. Best for his age group, top 2 or 3 in his age group. Serving. First serve fault. Nice deep forehand there by Will Hann, closest to the camera from Cottesloe. But some of the strengths of Jerome, you do a lot of work with Jerome now. I mean, he's a tremendous talent. I mean, where does he need to improve to go to the next level?
Yeah, look, Jerome's been, like you said, he's been a really great junior, one of the top in his game as a junior level. But playing the open events with the men, he's just really the two things we're working on is the forehand, making that bigger. When he plays against those bigger guys, just being able to dictate a little bit more with his forehand. He's been a little bit passive in the past with his forehand, and also that serve as well. So he's had some shoulder injuries in the past, which has made it hard for him to keep working on that serve. But at the moment, his shoulder's fantastic from what I understand, and it allows him to kind of go for that serve a little bit more, and hopefully he can continue to do that.
Flicked across to court number 1. Scotty Jones serving from Cottesloe against Dan Downey. And there it is, right on cue. The beautiful hands of Dan Downey, closest to the net. Nice little half volley, not easy to control. But again, he had to make and come up with a tremendous shot because the smarts of Scotty Jones just dipping that ball to the incoming Dan Downey. I mean, it's clever play both sides of the court.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dan had the answer there. Nice soft hands and great little drop shot.
Scotty Jones, Cottesloe serving. Both athletes, all athletes have been sitting off court for the best part of an hour and 20 minutes before they got onto court because of the heat rule. A little bit antsy, just champing at the bit to get out on court. And we see Dan Downey just overplaying that forehand deep to the backhand corner. I mean, the favouritism is in Scotty Jones's favour, no question about that. Undefeated so far in the Goods Property Service State League, but grass courts, home club for Alexander Park for Dan Downey. An orthodox game. Both players play a fairly similar style of game, but Scotty Jones just executes that a little bit better, Rhys.
Yeah, his execution's fantastic. He really seems to be able to hit the spots well. He's not a big guy, Scott, but he managed to generate a lot of power with that forehand and his backhand as well. But I would say the strengths to his game is that he can really hit those spots well.
Australian under-18 junior champion, Scotty Jones, of a few years ago, went away and played college tennis at Tennessee. Honed his craft there under a very good tennis program. Finds himself back in WA and sort of stuck here because of the COVID regulations. Serving. Yeah, beautiful deep. And you can see that, the forehand deep catching Dan Downey and winning that opening game. Another little bit of duress as we switch back across to court number 2. Will Hann serving furthest from the camera from Cottesloe Tennis Club. Top of the table, Cottesloe versus number 3 rated Alexander Park. Jerome Iaconi, Alexander Park, returning serve. Overplaying that forehand. Good deep, playing within himself at the moment, Jerome. The sunglasses and the hat. I mean, we see a lot of the Europeans playing at the Australian Open without a hat and or sunglasses. And I mean, how do you like to play the game? Do you sort of coach your kids to keep the hat on and take the sunglasses off?
Yeah, look, Jerome's been sporting these yellow sunglasses now for a couple of months. I think he likes the show, Jerome, which is great. And as long as he can bring the game to back those yellow sunglasses up, then why not?
Beautiful, beautiful forehand. You can see that. Will Hann just clenching the fifth. Beautiful ground strokes deep into the backhand corner of Jerome Iaconi. And it's interesting the fashions around tennis. I mean, Rhys MacDougall, coach at Mount Lawley Tennis Club. I mean, the kids really embrace the fashions of tennis. And has fashion changed a lot since you were coming through? Is there more sunglasses now? Is there more wearing of the wristbands? We'll get your answer after this serve. Back in my day, back in the 80s, wristbands were never really worn, 80s and 90s. Lovely forehand
Shots.
pass, and you can see Jerome just saluting the crowd. So, and hearing right into the camera, come on, and that's the way to do it.
That's better, yeah, exactly. So he was happy with that. That's good. And the intention's there, isn't it, from Will Hann, looking to come to the net as often as he can here. That's a break of serve too, so Jerome's gone 2-love up in this opening set.
This is a must-win match for the number 2 player, Jerome Iaconi, against Will Hann, the number 1 rated team in the Goods Property Service State League competition. But the sunglasses, I mean, do we see more junior athletes now wearing the sunglasses?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. There's a lot more junior athletes that I'm coaching. I see them out there on the court with the sunglasses, training with the sunglasses. The sweatbands have definitely made a revival.
Beautiful forehand
Great
there,
forehand.
nice and deep. Do you think that's on the back of some of their stars? I mean, Jerome wears the forehands high on the forearm, or the wristbands high on the forearm. I mean, a la Nick Kyrgios. Has that been somewhat of an impact, and does he have the impact to sort of dictate what kids are wearing nowadays?
Yeah, look, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it does play a part. There's definitely the sweatbands. I'd really like to see the headband come back. The headband was
wouldn't we
huge,
all?
wasn't it?
Terry Toweling. Jerome Iaconi serving. Catching Jerome Iaconi, body serve. You can see Jerome just walking back to the camera. It's
Good serve. Good to see Jerome putting a little bit more pace on that first serve and getting a few free points on his first serve. Like I said earlier, his shoulder's been troubling him for a while, and I think he's playing with a little bit more freedom now, so hopefully he can get a few free points with his first serve.
Had some bursitis issues for the last number of years. He seems to have got that shoulder back on track. Prodigious junior talent. Love to see him shine in the open men's competition. Overplayed that first serve. Conditions here have cooled down significantly than they were an hour and a half ago. Reached about 39.3, just below 38 degrees at the moment. Beautiful deep ground stroke, and you can see what that means to Will Hann. He seems to be fist pumping after every point he wins.
Yeah, well, that was the first long rally from the baseline, wasn't it? Will opted to stay back from the baseline there and engage Jerome in a rally, and he's come out on top there, so it'll be interesting to see if he keeps this tactic up for a little bit.
We've seen grass courts change, particularly at Wimbledon, Rhys, where the matting, the actual grass matting has become a little bit longer, a little bit slower. The balls, they open the balls to make them a little bit slower through the air, a little bit flatter. They open the balls 24 hours before the competition. That's not the case here in the WA competition as Jerome Iaconi serves. So is it the advantage to the player who's going to be the more aggressive, the one who's going to attack in these situations?
Yeah, well, again, I think just looking at the way this court's playing, and obviously with the heat today, close to 38 degrees. I know there's a breeze as well, but the ball's clearly bouncing up as well. So, I would say they're playing pretty even here. If you want to come to the net, you've got your opportunities as well. But, staying on the baseline, you're going to get a pretty clean bounce, and the ball's bouncing up. So you can engage in rallies from the baseline. These courts are really playing nicely today.
Jerome Iaconi serving closer to the camera. Yeah, just dumping that forehand into the net. Finds himself about a metre and a half behind the baseline. Probably doesn't want to find himself there. Pushed too far back. Needs to be on the baseline, dictating points.
Yeah, exactly. He's got to try and hold that baseline. But that was good depth from Will as well. So nice forehand, pushed him back, kept him deep in the court.
Of course, you're listening to the voice of Rhys MacDougall, Mount Lawley tennis coach, one of WA's high performance coaches. And of course, a break is not a break until you can hold your own serve. And Jerome's finding it difficult here with the breeze to hold that break of serve in that second game. Currently leading 2 games to love against Will Hann. Will Hann, the more aggressor. A little bit of breeze here coming from right to left of the screen. Iaconi serving. Overplaying that first serve.
Yeah, he didn't really drive up, did he, to that one?
Will really running around that backhand, trying to get to that forehand. I mean, that's his game. He will see a lot of the footwork getting around his backhand because he has a prodigious forehand, a very heavy forehand, particularly on the hard courts. He gets a lot of penetration, a lot of bounce, a lot of bite. The ball will stay, be unpredictable on the grass court, so he's really got to get his feet in the right positions. Small steps, Rhys, on the grass course?
Yeah, a lot of small steps, and yeah, got to be really agile and light on your feet, don't you, on the grass. You can't really set yourself too early, so you've got to be ready to take that one or two more little steps just before you play that last attacking shot.
Plus playing two. Etiquette is if a ball rolls across the court, you stop the point and play two, regardless of the situation. Both these teams are vying for a title. Both teams haven't won a State League title for many years. Alexander Park, well, for the best part of 25 years. The last time they were in the State League final was 1995, I think, from memory, Rhys. And Cottesloe haven't won a title since about 2016. They're on top of the ladder as we speak in round 10. So just looking forward to them closing this season out, getting going deep into this competition, and Hensman Park will be no doubt waiting for them in the final. Overplay that backhand. A couple of breakpoint opportunities squandered, and as we see the change of ends, Will Hann trailing from Cottesloe 3 games to love.
Yeah,
Beautiful
nice
point by Scotty Jones, you can see, currently leading 1 game to love. As I step out of the commentary booth and hand over to the over 50s world doubles runner-up, Shane Smedley, will be joining you, Rhys MacDougall.
Thanks, Brett.
Welcome, Shane.
You enjoying the tennis, Rhys?
Yeah, it's so far so good. I mean, we were just talking about how well the courts have been playing. It's a lively court. It's nice and warm. The balls are bouncing, coming through nicely. So you're able to play from the baseline and come to the net when you need to. Great serve from Scott.
I was commentating, not commentating. I was making a comment off air that Scott Jones moves beautifully. I don't think I've seen a player for a long time with the balance that he has. And typical of a good player, they always seem to have time, never rush when they hit through the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's up 2-1 now, Scott. So that was a great game to hold, and looks like it's still on serve here, though. And I agree with you. Yeah, Scott Jones. Look, he's a great player. He does look light and agile on his feet. He always does look balanced. Like we were saying before, he's not the biggest guy, but he manages to generate a lot of power, and I think that comes through his great footwork and his balance on the ball. He's able to generate power because he gets that body weight going through the ball all the time.
Yeah, and I think his big advantage is he has an A and B game. So, if his serve and volley game doesn't work, he can then stay back. He can then transition through the middle of the court. So he's got a lot of options to his game. I like. Have you seen much of Will Hann so far?
Yeah, look, Will, Jerome's up 3-love here. Will's probably been a little bit erratic, but I'm probably feeling him out now. It's interesting. He changed tactics a bit. He stayed back a little bit more, and he got himself in a chance there and had break points, but just didn't capitalise. So big game on here.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of Will Hann play, but very impressed with his forehand. He really gets tremendous ball spin on his forehand, and he'll probably live and die by that, I think.
Yeah, exactly. He likes to get around and hit that forehand. So his footwork, like most of the male tennis players, they're always looking to get around and hit that forehand as well. Being that lefty here, we'll see what he comes up with, if he's going to drag Jerome wide.
And I mean, this is tailor-made for a lefty, serving with the Frio Doctor coming over his left shoulder.
Exactly.
He throws the ball out the left of the ball, cuts around the ball, and you saw on that last return, Jerome had to return that serve nearly on the tram lines of the court next to him.
Yeah, exactly. It's a textbook left-handed play right there, with the wind in your favour as well, pushing the ball wider.
We do love this sea breeze, lefties,
Oh, exactly.
You're a lefty, aren't you?
I'm a lefty, so
I remember watching you play.
Yeah,
You're a lefty.
Absolutely.
You'd be loving that too.
Hitting that serve all day long. Second serve from Will Hann coming up.
Yeah, he'll live and die by that forehand. That's going to create, if you look at his stats in the match, he's probably going to have 20 forehand winners and 20 forehand errors, I think.
Yeah.
So it really depends if his winners outnumber his errors. When I was looking at Jerome play, it looks like he's a typical counterpuncher to me. Absorbs the speed that's coming at him. Looks for an opportunity to hit a pass if Will comes in. That's how he's been winning most of his points, I think.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. That return there was just a little bit short, and Will kind of stepped on it, didn't he, and just put the forehand away.
Yeah, well, he's not going to waste an opportunity if the ball's short on that return of serve. That's for sure, especially with the breeze coming in at him.
Oh,
yeah,
created the opportunity, didn't he?
Yeah, what I liked about that was Jerome's return of serve was very good. Two-handed backhand, just short bunted it, got it back into play, and then of course Will's rolled that forehand cross court. Probably we don't like to see too many approaches go across court. We all know, we've all been taught and coached over many years. You try to hit your approach shot down the line to remove angle. He's actually gone cross court, come up pretty good, but Jerome's hit a ball that's just dipped below the height of the net.
Just made it that little bit awkward, didn't it?
Didn't it?
Good serve, good body serve there from Will Hann. Looks like
Needs to get on the board, doesn't he? He needs to win this point, get back on the board, and get started. He's down a break already. Can ill afford to go down 2 breaks on a grass court.
see if this big slider wide comes out here. Yeah, well, he hit the slider wide, and great return from Jerome. Actually got it right back within the 30 centimetres of the baseline, but good reply from Will Hann. So he's held serve, and it's 3-1 here.
Yeah, so now he needs to get back into the game, does he? He's held his serve, now he's got to be looking to break here. You still looking to play seniors again when the borders open up?
Yeah, I was talking to Brett a little bit about that earlier. It's still a little bit tricky, isn't it? We just don't know what's going to happen with the borders, so just still a wait and see in a bit of a holding pattern here.
Who was the guy you came over to Perth with, and you shared for a while? You coached together. You end up trying professional golf, or tried to go into professional golf.
Okay. So Patrick Gannay. Yeah,
he played state league, didn't he?
He did. Yeah. So we had a pretty strong state league when he was around. He had a couple of world ATP points, so that bolstered our team. But he sadly went back to Gold Coast, and he's his father got a little bit unwell, unfortunately, so he went back to look after his father. It's probably the longest rally of the match there so far. Both guys staying back at the baseline. Looks like Will is looking is prepared to stay back a little bit more now. It'd be interesting to see how this goes. I think that probably favours Jerome if Will does stay back. So it'd be interesting to see how long this.
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit risk averse, Will, hasn't he? He's come in 3 or 4 times, been passed a couple of times, and dumped a couple of volleys into the net as well. So he's probably thinking, listen, I've made a few mistakes here. I'm going to get myself into the point a bit more.
Yeah.
He really needs to break pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Unlucky. Great rally, baseline rally. Yeah, go back to Patrick. He was one of a number of tennis players who you'd be aware of who've gone to try to hand to golf. I mean, I saw him play out at Hartfield Park, and he was playing off a 1 at the time, I think.
Yeah.
And then he got to he got -1. No, he's playing off +1. That's right. And he was looking to try to get a ticket on the Pro Tour, the Australian Pro Tour. But I think he fell just short, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Look, unfortunately, he just wasn't able to sustain that for long enough as well. And he was, it's tough when you're trying to earn a living as well, coaching and he's mixing tennis and coaching. So wasn't easy for him to put the hours that's required really to get to that level.
And he was a good tennis player, as good as you, better than you.
No, great tennis player. We had some really good battles. We used to practice a lot back on the Gold Coast, so we had some good battles there. And You know, in his prime, I remember him saying he won 8 tournaments in a row. Some AMTs back over east, and got some points as well. So he really got on a roll there for a while.
It's a bit stronger. Yeah, nice strong point from Hann there. I think probably the thing that's undoing Will at the moment is he hits that forehand with incredible spin. But it's a long time in the air, isn't it?
It is, yeah, exactly. And like we said earlier, the balls are bouncing, so that when you put a lot of topspin on these grass courts, they actually don't bounce through too quick. They actually slow down a little bit on the grass, and it allows your opponent to possibly go after that forehand a little bit more. So sometimes taking the spin off the ball on grass is a little bit better, just hitting through the ball, and that kind of really makes the ball get through the air quicker and get through the grass quicker as well.
And that's why you see slice so effective on a grass court.
Exactly.
Yeah, just poor stroke production on that last shot there. You got forced back deep and just had all his weight going backwards and just lifted the ball. So had a chance there. So Jerome's held serve, Iaconi's held serve. So they change ends, 4-1.
4-1, yeah.
We'll move back to the battle of number one. So looking at the scoreboard, looks like we're 1-2 on serve.
Yeah, we just missed that last game, so Dan served, so it's either 3-1 or 2-all.
Okay.
We'll get confirmation of that shortly.
Just had a signal from the team manager of Alexander Park, Greg Hutchinson, who's also a major sponsor of the Alexander Park Club here. It's 2-1, so Scott's up a break. Lovely point from Dan Downey. So you playing number one at Mount Lawley?
No, definitely not. No, I'm down the order, so either 3 or 4. So I've got all the young guys that are jumping in front of me. We're lucky enough to have a bye today, so great to come out here and watch the other guys in other teams in action, and maybe do a bit of homework for when we play them next.
Oh, a bit of scouting.
Exactly.
Against the top two. So who played Scott Jones when you were playing? From your team?
Yeah, so we had young Adita Mann play Scott, and it was a great match, but yeah, Scott was just too solid. A couple of loose shots there. That looks like that might be a break.
Serve, yeah. So back 2-2.
Well, no, I think it's 3-2. I'm not sure who is 3 and who is 2. I think it might be 3-2 to Scott Jones, and back on serve.
I don't think the team manager knew the score.
I don't think so either. While we wait for that score, we can go back to the other court. Will Hann to serve. Jerome's up 4-1 here, so this is a big must-hold service game for Will. He needs to obviously get himself back into this set.
He's doing well, isn't he? You see, if you look at relative ball speed through the air, I'd hazard a guess that Iaconi's hitting the ball, maybe 10 kilometres an hour faster through the air than what Will Hann is. It looks fast when Will hits it, but the ball's just spinning so much. It's not penetrating through the air nearly as much as what Iaconi does. So as a consequence, Will's under a lot more pressure, retaining those ground strokes than what Jerome is.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think he's going to have a look at this tactically and see if he. Be interesting to see if he's willing to stay at the baseline and try and trade blows with Jerome. I just think Jerome's going to have the upper hand if he keeps doing this, but you know, time will tell.
That's a lovely ball, lovely forehand. See, the ball was a lot faster through the air then. It gave no chance for Iaconi to track that down. Someone told me that you work with both these boys. Is that right?
No, so just doing a lot of work with Jerome recently. So
okay.
Jerome's been working hard on his forehand. We're trying to add a bit of power to his serve as well. So he has been working hard in this off season. It's been, what is it, 6 or 7 weeks since our last state league match. So it's been a pretty long off season. He had a little break in between there, so he's come back really fresh and ready, and he's been working hard footwork wise and trying to generate more power on that forehand, which seems to be paying off at the moment.
So you're working with a few of the top players?
Yeah, working with a few of the players. We've got a few guys here, so do a little bit with Luca over on court number 4 over the back here, so you can see that in the background of
court 2 here.
Of court 2 here. So he's also an Alexander Park boy as well. So great player. He's very flashy. He comes up with all kinds of different shots there. So that'll be a very interesting match too.
Ball looked long, didn't it?
Did look long.
You know, you can see as soon as the players have all their weight moving back through impact, they tend to loft the ball, don't they? And he just lifted it again a little bit longer over the baseline.
Yeah.
So I was watching Jerome serve a couple of times, serving down breeze, and it wasn't as strong as what I thought it would be. Looking at the guys he's playing against, so that you've been changing his technique, have you?
Yeah, look, it's a deceptive serve. We were talking earlier about how his shoulder, he's had bursitis on his shoulder, so he hasn't, it's one of the areas of his game that he hasn't really been able to work hard on, purely just because it's just been, you know, too hard on his shoulder. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So at the moment he's in a bit of a clear run with his shoulder, so it's time to work hard, and hopefully that shoulder holds up. But again, time will tell with that. But yeah, it's definitely an area of his game that he can improve. I think he's just more tentative than anything else. He can actually hit the ball hard, and actually quite often his serves are deceptively harder than what they look, but he can certainly add another 10 or 15 kilometres an hour to that serve, and that'll make it so much harder to return.
Well, I mean, if you look at all his peers, they've all got big serves, haven't they? They've all got big serves.
Yeah, exactly. As Hann holds serve there, so it's 4-2 now. Jerome upper break, 4-2. So great shot there from Jerome. Looking to consolidate here and hold serve to go 5-2 up.
Yeah, welcome back everyone. Sorry for that off-air moment. We're pretty hot out here. We're in a commentary booth, but it's still 36, 37 degrees right in the sun, so it's still pretty warm. So we're just trying to sort of show a bit of sun smart and player wellness.
Move the booth about 2 metres to the right.
That's a lovely shot. Yeah, that's a lovely shot.
Yeah, great approach shot.
No, he's been well coached. He's coming off
playing
down
well.
the line for you.
Yeah,
Approach
nice.
down the line.
Textbook approach, wasn't it? The Fremantle doctor pushed that ball wide by Will there, unfortunately. Great payback there from Will. So Will capitalising on that short ball and coming forward, putting pressure on Jerome there, and comes up with the goods.
We're going to move back to court one, the battle of the number ones. Dan Downey and Scott Jones. Scoreboard showing us 2-3. Scott's still up a break, but that hasn't been updated, so we'll bring you up to speed as soon as we get a change in the score.
All the players are settling in now, aren't they, to the conditions. They're getting used to the courts and the wind and the breeze and the sun, so everyone's starting to look pretty comfortable and start to settle in, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, the test as it gets longer and longer will be how they adapt to the heat. Even though we're just after 3 o'clock now, it's still pretty warm out here, and very, very fast conditions. It's probably as fast as I've seen it all year out here today.
Exactly. Great depth there from Scott, putting the pressure on Dan Downey, and comes up with the goods.
Yeah, the vagaries of a grass court. You saw that ball keep quite low. Just didn't prepare well enough for it. Being a tall boy, Dan Downey, he stayed pretty upright then. And that's the one thing you see from Scott. If you're watching Scott play on a grass court, he gets very, very low to the ball, doesn't he?
Yeah, great mover. As we've already said, he moves around that ball. He gets in position really, really well. So 5-2 now to Scott Jones there. So
in the time that we've been away, he's broken serve again.
He's broken serve again. So Dan Downey serving to stay in the match now at 5-2. Obviously not happy with that. Game.
He's dropped his serve again, isn't he? So yeah. And I think there've been many players this season have found themselves in similar positions when they've been playing Scott.
Yeah, exactly. He's pretty unrelenting. He doesn't really give you a look in. So you've got to really earn your stripes against Scott. You've got to push him around the court and stay in the point for long enough. But like we said, his footwork's so quick that he can capitalise on any opportunity that you give him.
And you yourself being an accomplished doubles player, you must have come up in the number one doubles against him.
Yeah, we played Scott. We actually played him I think it was the last round of the season, and we had a close one. So Scott Jones and Will Hann, and we unfortunately went down 7-6, 6-4, but we had our chances there as well. It's probably the only time I saw Scott not really play that great, especially in the first set, but he came good and lifted in the second set.
And so do you think he is as strong in doubles as he is in singles? Do you think he's a better singles player?
I think he's a better singles player, but I think he's still a very good doubles player. But I dare say he focuses more on his singles game than he does his doubles game. So It'd be interesting to see. You know, we'll try and get Scott after this match and have a chat to see what his plans are. I mean, he's kind of been stuck in limbo, hasn't he, for a while? He's such a good player. He'd love to see how he goes and test himself on the world stage, but just has not been able to do that.
And you'd expect him, as a product of the college circuit, college system, you expect them to have a very good doubles game because their focus is on doubles, isn't it? They play the doubles first whenever they have head-to-head, so you'd expect his doubles to be pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, he's solid. He's got a solid game all around the court. You know, there's no holes in his game, so when he comes to the net, there's no easy passing shots. His hands are good, so he's an all-round player.
Now there's an example of ball speed through the air with a flat forehand. You compare it to the way Hann hits his forehand. I mean, that was incredibly flat but fast through the air.
Yeah. And you could see it come off the ground too, couldn't it? Just skidded through so much more. So it didn't sit up, it just skids through so much quicker, and Dan just got caught there.
And he doesn't want to be stuck there, does he?
No.
He cannot win if he stays back.
No, I agree. He'll have to look to come forward when he can. And possibly take the pace off a little bit, you know, use that slice a bit and not give him too much to work with, and mix it around a bit. Which he's just tried there, but unfortunately.
But tough to play a drop shot when you're outside the baseline.
Yeah,
you really got to be inside the baseline to even look at that. But he's obviously thinking about trying to do something a little bit different because he knows he can't sustain it from the backcourt there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see too many bad bounces out here. Scott got one just then. You don't see too many of them.
Yeah, that's right. So on both courts it's 5-2. So Will serving to stay in the set over on court number 2, and we've got Dan Downey serving to stay in the match on the court that we're currently watching, also serving to stay in the match. So both players down our commentary and serving to stay in the first set.
Yeah, that's a nice point. That's a nice point then from Downey. He needs to be doing that a little bit more. Took a nice ball early on the back and moved forward.
Yeah, it was well played. I dare say he needs to keep trying to put that tactic into play, doesn't he?
He does. He can't afford to sit back on the baseline and get into a rally because Scott's just going to dominate play then. Yeah. The idea was sound. The half volley back half court made it very easy for Scott to come up with something strong. Break serve again. So Scott Jones for Cottesloe wins the first set 6-2.
So we're cutting back over now to court number 2, and Will serving to stay in this set as well here. First serve into the net. Set up, didn't it?
Didn't it? Yeah, and just struggled with the ball getting up around shoulder height there, which you typically see on a grass court.
No, that's right. Really probably got above shoulder height, didn't he? He just kind of looked like he was a bit lost there. Wasn't expecting that bounce at all.
You probably heard in the effects microphone there. Will was obviously feeling it's pretty warm out there.
Good first serve, and he does hold serve. So now Jerome serving for the first set to hold and hopefully win.
The first set,
exactly, yeah.
I think he's done this before. He's held his serve, and now he's had trouble breaking serve, hasn't he? No.
Hang on, balls are coming back.
Didn't agree on the score. Must have been a mistake made there somewhere.
I'm guessing it's 40-15 here.
Just trying to read the scores on the back two courts here. It looks like Alexander Park, that's
4-5 on court number 4. So looks like Sam English is serving to win that set against Luca Katsumakis out on court 4, and it looks like the first set's been complete, doesn't it? Max Wiz won the first set.
Yep.
So Max continuing on his undefeated run so far. He's been a revelation for Cottesloe this year. He's a big, tall, lanky guy with a big serve. 2 big serving players out there on court number 3.
So reboot it. So he's Will's won that serve in the end. So he's still down a break. So Iaconi's serving for the set at 5-3, and he's been in this position a few times. He's held his serve but hasn't been able to break Iaconi's serve. So this is his last chance. Otherwise, the set's gone.
Yeah, so it's getting close out here, isn't it, with Cottesloe winning the first set on court number 1 and also on court number 3. Alexander Park really need this set here from Jerome to try and stay in the contest.
So, second serve. So if Will's looking to break serve, he hasn't been able to do it all set so far. What are the key fundamentals he's looking to achieve in this game then?
Well, obviously the first, he's got to return that serve, make the ball, make Jerome play, but it's obviously hard if you just make the ball at this level. It's not really going to be probably good enough, so he needs to add a bit of depth or some variety with spins or speeds there as well. But you know, I think he should be looking to mix it up as well, just seeing where he's standing here. Is he standing back a little bit deeper? Is he changing? He's got to change that positioning, just give something different for Jerome to look at. Great forehand there. So he's looking to be aggressive, which is exactly what he needs to be as well. But again, we'll just see where he stands here and see if he's...
I'm guessing the other thing you're saying also, he doesn't want to give any free points away, any unforced errors, does he?
That's right,
If he loses the point, he wants Jerome to win it rather than give him a free point.
Yeah, exactly. So stand a little bit deeper now. Just looking to step in though.
I think he's been listening to our commentary. I think took
well,
a bit off his first serve return. He had a slice forehand back, stayed in the point.
Might be 15:30 here.
Yeah, 15:30. Yeah. So he's working hard on this game. Big point here. 15:30. Jerome serving to the back end court. You can see he's proppy on that shoulder, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Look, it still doesn't look like he can really attack that, does it? Doesn't quite get up to that ball enough. Good deep serve. And yeah, unforced error there from Will, so could be a costly unforced error.
And that's exactly what he can't afford to do. You know, he wants to break. He's just got to keep the ball deep, keep the ball in play, and look for an opportunity. But you know, hit an unforced error, that's really cardinal sin. You know, when you're trying to break serve to stay in the set.
Yeah, big point here.
30 all. Oh, that's a tight forehand, wasn't it, Coach?
Yeah, it was. He just really got lazy, didn't he? He didn't really move his feet. He was stood upright. Needed to get down there.
And I think you'll find he probably decelerated too through that ball, didn't he? It was a tight shot. You can see it was an important point, and now he's down break point.
I mean, I put that down to footwork, 100% there. He was really upright. He didn't move those feet, didn't get in position. It looked a bit lost, didn't he, on the forehand there?
Right, that in your coaching notes.
Put that in the coaching notes. Yeah, big point. It's interesting, isn't it, how that pressure can build on you. Oh, there's another one. So 2 unforced errors, and there's the break of serve. So Will Hann stays in the contest here, and now will serve 4-5 down.
He will be shaking his head, going, I can't believe I got that break then.
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, his first 2 points are okay,
Yeah.
but certainly the last couple were just gifted to him, weren't they?
Well, that's right. Yeah, 2 unforced errors at 30 all. Jerome would be disappointed with that, so he's got to now bounce back and try and break back again here. So back on serve on court number 2. We'll cross back over now to the number 1 court.
Yep, Scotty's still doing well. He hasn't dropped serve yet, so he's won the first 6-2 held serve, so he's 1 love up.
Yeah, look, now's the time, isn't it, for Downey? He's got to hold serve here. He's got to try and hang with Scott for as long as he can early in this set. Can't let Scott get away from him early.
Looks like he might be looking to serve and volley a bit more, which is a good thought. See how it goes. What you don't want to see him do is get passed on a serve and then give it away again. You've got to understand that serve and volley, you are going to get beaten sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get passed twice and you win 3 points, then it's a winning strategy, isn't it?
Well, you got away with something there. Another nice return from Jones at his feet. Come up with a sort of like a dink drop volley, and Scotty really had plenty of time to do something with it and missed his little chip cross court.
Yeah, he had a few options there. The tube could have been on. Could have really done some damage to down there if he wanted to.
Well, it'll happen the men's doubles tonight at the Australian Open. Don't you worry about that. If there's a short ball like that, there'll be no beg your pardons tonight.
Yeah, I think so. And and that's all part of the game, isn't it? So I would expect if that was Kyrgios there, that ball would have gone straight back through him.
Oh, that's just too good, isn't it? That's just too good. You just got to accept that, shake it off, and move on to the next point.
Yeah, probably.
Just in his zone, wasn't it?
Yeah,
just in his zone there. Didn't really do enough with it. It was big enough, but it just went into the corner, not wide enough. Scotty saw it early and just nailed it down the line, very, very flat. Tough shot, flat down the line.
Good shot, yeah. Again, that balance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pushed wide, still balanced.
Ah, see, that's I like to
down,
see
was
that.
it?
Well done. So he's held serve, hit a
Well
lovely, typical right-handed breaking serve through the middle on the backhand court.
So well done from Dan. He does need to hang tight, doesn't he? Here, first set 6-2. If he can stay here with Scott early, and we've talked about how well Dan plays on grass. He's got to use this grass court to his advantage. Scott is also a very accomplished player on grass as well, but it'd be interesting to see how Dan goes here. What's he going to do? Is he going to come to the net? He's going to use that slice.
Well, his biggest problem is I don't think he's put Scott under any pressure yet. He's got to build some pressure to make Scott start to think about the shot he's going to hit, just as we saw in the second court before when Jerome was serving for the set. You've got to make him think about what they're doing, build a bit of pressure, and he hasn't been able to do that with Jones so far.
That's exactly right.
It's been pretty comfortable for Jones, hasn't it? So.
Yeah, so far he's been looking really comfortable.
Yeah, lovely deep return from Downey there. See, I'd like to see Downey, if he gets an opportunity, take a ball early, chip charge, come on in, make him hit a passing shot. Great depth on return of serve then. Got the first point, so he's got something to build with.
Yeah, look, I totally agree there. We might just cut back over here to court number 2 with Will Hann serving to stay in the set at 4-5.
Yeah, beautiful
Great
serve. That must have been a big point there.
Yeah, look, that was a big serve, didn't it? That came through fast.
And of course, if you're returning serve to a lefty, you're serving to the backhand court, you've got to be covering the wide one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it does open up the one down the middle. If you can hit that flat one down the middle as a lefty, you really open that side of the court up.
Yeah.
That was always one of your best serves, wasn't it? Down the middle there, sitting on the
That's
wide one.
Yeah, as a lefty, I always say you want to have that great slider wide, but you also want to back it up with that big serve down the tee as well. It's just, I guess, it's more accuracy, isn't it? Is the key there. But if you can use both of those serves to your advantage, it really helps the lefty.
You can just spread your opponent, can't you?
That's right. I've seen a couple of errors here, so I'm not sure if this is 30-40 or 40-30. It's deep into this second game here. It might actually be set point, but we'll have to wait and see here.
And of course, the other part of that puzzle is, as a lefty, if you can serve out to the forehand court and serve to that wide ball on the forehand court, then that's one the righties don't expect to see either.
Yeah, exactly right.
wouldn't be surprised if it's set point here.
Yeah, it could very well be set point.
Another great serve.
Great
Yeah, it
wide
was a big
serve.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that was set point. It was a big serve, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And
he used that. He went wide, the slider wide, lefty slider
yeah,
wide.
it was,
So
was
yeah.
set point. So
We're back to juice here.
Iaconi's going, well, I expect him to go wide, but he's banged me middle last time, so I'm probably going to be looking middle, and he's gone wide again.
Exactly. Yeah. So great serving from Will under pressure there, and
This has been the problematic side from here, though. He hasn't been making enough first serves.
exactly.
Good depth. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
lovely,
that's a big
lovely
point.
constructed
Yeah.
point then. A lot
Yeah.
more patient, wasn't he then?
Yeah, and he got that ball just landing on the baseline there, didn't it? And Jerome wasn't able to get that ball deep enough, and Will could step on the next ball, and looks like he's advantage Will here.
And what I was a bit surprised with is Jerome was quite passive in that point. Didn't really do anything, did he? You know, he's got a chance to get set point if he wins that point. He's doing very, very well, and you would have thought he would have been a little bit more aggressive in that point.
Yeah, he probably did have an opportunity there to try and push a little bit harder, but
Oh yeah.
there's the game. So well held from Will. So we go to 5-all, and it's game on court
Isn't
on
it?
court
Yeah,
number 2
and,
now.
and Jerome will be thinking, how did I get into this position again? 'Cause he's all over him, really. What, 5-2?
5-2 and cruising, and,
Yeah.
and
All of a sudden it's tight now.
he's got to go back to the well here, hold serve, and look to break again. But so far, Cottesloe in a commanding position here, looking across the courts. I can see back out on court number 4, Cottesloe have won the first set, 6-4.
I don't think it's changed,
Has
has
that
it?
changed?
It might be 6-4, 1-3 maybe, hard to see. Certainly on court 3 they're up 6-2, 1-2.
So Cottesloe look like they're in front on 3 courts, and this crucial court number 2 here needs, Jerome really needs to step up here to try and keep Alexander Park in the contest on the for the whole entire day, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, they can't afford to get too far behind too early. So big challenge for Jerome here. He was doing it easy. Now the self-belief comes in, and the self-talk comes in, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So 15-all there. So an unforced error from Will earlier, and then double throw from Jerome. So he needs to really
Needs to gather himself
really pick
here.
up here. You wonder if he's had a look at these scoreboards, don't you, and kind of realises is that added a bit of pressure to his own game? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think maybe not. I mean, you're so absorbed in your own game. I think if you're looking at scores on other courts, I think you're probably not in the moment where you should be. So I'd be surprised if he knows what's going on. He might hear a comment from another court, but he wouldn't be looking at scores. He's got enough to focus on here. So lovely little touch volley there across the court.
Yeah, that was great to see, actually, Jerome. He's not known for coming forward, and it's also another aspect we've been working hard on, and great to see that he was willing to do that on a pretty big point, 15-all, so 30-15 up.
Well coached, coach.
Decelerated, didn't he, on that serve? So let's see how he goes here, second serve.
Oh, that's another tight shot, isn't it? Just a lack of preparation. He didn't want to do the hard work off the ball before he actually hit the ball.
Yeah, look, it just looked tight. Will's just staying steady down there.
And as we know, the best players are the players that play the same way through every point.
Yeah. Yeah, look, Will looks like he's really just found a rhythm. He's decided he's going to make a lot of balls now, and Jerome's probably just backed off a little bit, hasn't he? He just hasn't been able to capitalise on those balls.
I think we'll wait for this point to finish. Yeah, another great point. Yeah, and I think what comes with that is Will's got a bit of self-belief now because he'd already given away the first set at 5-2, wasn't even in it, so he's given away the first set, gets back into it, and all of a sudden he's got a chance, got a bit of self-belief. But it just amazes me how many of these boys, or these young men, approach to a cross-court.
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess if the ball's central and you've got that opportunity to go either way, then that's okay. But you've got to be careful, obviously, when the ball's from that wide position approaching cross court, don't you? So Jerome here, 40-30, serving.
And I think, to be fair to Jerome, he's probably thinking, oh, I'm going to approach, I'm going to go to his backhand.
Yeah.
But the basic fundamental is rally cross-court attack down the line.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's forehand and backhand. Most players say have a backhand if it's strong or more solid than what their forehand is.
Yeah.
So the angles become more important than the side, I think.
Second serve, juice, big point.
It's a different game now, isn't it? It's a different game.
Really well played.
It's a different game, and Jerome senses it too. He knows it's slipping away from him here because he's changed his game, hasn't he? He's become very defensive, staying back deep, and you've seen him fall off a lot of his forehands now, so he's shanking or mishitting his forehands, hitting some of them long. It's just a different game.
Yeah, look, I think he needs that first serve, doesn't he? He probably hasn't the percentage of first serves have dropped a bit as well. It's really allowed Will back in. Now, Will's a really accomplished player as well, so he's going to take those opportunities. If he keeps getting a look at second serves, he'll make it hard for you, and that's exactly what Will's done here. So Jerome now, 5-all, advantage Will.
Cross court again. You know what?
There's the break.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times you can say it. He's approached cross court again. I know he's gone to his backhand, but you saw the angle allowed Will to hit back with.
Yeah, and he didn't really hit that
No,
approach probably hard enough, did he?
No.
So gave Will that opportunity. So a massive turnaround here. So Will now up 6-5 and serving for the set.
And if you
after being down.
And if you look at the body language between the two players, Will's all full of beans at the moment, and Jerome's trying to work out how to get 6-5 down when I was 5-2 up.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
dropped 2 serves in a row.
Exactly, and credit to Will. He's played really, really well here. He's just kept a lot of balls in. He's looked to use that forehand. He's put pressure on. It's fair to say that he's become a whole lot more steadier than what he was. Less errors from Will and probably more errors now from Jerome. So wonder if it is that scoreboard pressure. Looking around the courts, it'll be interesting to find that out, actually. I'll certainly be asking him that when I see him next to see if he was paying attention to the other courts.
You'd hope you wouldn't be, wouldn't you?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard though. It's a team sport as well. You are playing for yourself, but it's also a team sport. So when you see those scoreboards and you see it slipping away for the rest of the team, you kind of understand that the pressure's there. You've got to win that set. So we might go back to Scott Jones over here, and I'll sign off here and put Brett Patten back on, CEO of Tennis West and tennis commentator extraordinaire.
Rhys MacDougall, voice of broadcast this afternoon, Mount Lawley coach, one of the great high performance coaches in WA. Thanks for handing across. Shane Smedley's been a very entertaining first 2 men's singles.
Yeah, welcome back, Brett. You're doing your fulfilling your obligations as CEO, having a chat to the rank and file to the members of Alexander Park and the visiting Cottesloe Tennis Club and Kings Park Tennis Club. So
Wonderful to see. Yeah, wonderful to see out here. Good numbers coming down from both clubs, supporting this great competition. Good Property Services, the major sponsor of the Tennis West State League competition, as we're focused on this number 1 singles match, Scotty Jones and Dan Downey. Dan Downey's really lifted his game in the second set. No doubt you would have had that conversation with Rhys MacDougall, but I mean, the grass court, he's sort of playing within himself at the moment, Shane.
Yeah, Scott did it so easy in the first set. He was very comfortable, and we made the comment at the end of the set that great.
Oh, don't mind. On the run, backhand cross court with the slice grip, if you don't mind at all, Shane Smedley.
Lovely shot, lovely shot. And we were talking before that. The first set, Scott had no pressure on him at all. It was like a training set, really doing it really easy. And he made the comment that, Dan, if you want to get in this match, you had to change your style of play. And straight away we saw him serve and volleying and trying to get him a little bit more. And it's worked well.
Tremendous athlete, Dan Downey. We could see that by his court coverage. Beautiful backhand cross court, very unorthodox, but he got the job done.
Cross court.
Yeah, with a slice grip.
Yeah.
Scotty Jones serving, just wide. Dan Downey, full of steam. Home crowd support. Closer to the camera. Oh, don't mind that. He's an unorthodox player, Dan Downey. He's got a variety of shots, Smeds. He does like to hit the Pam Shriver for those from yesteryear, the 80s forehand slice.
Yeah. No, we see it a lot more. I was making the comment that I was watching the Australian Open game. Was it the US Open winner, Emma Raducanu? She was playing her singles match, and I believe she was slightly injured, but went through the first set and a half, well, actually even the first two sets, hitting a slice forehand.
Yeah.
Never seen that before. Never seen that before. I used to sit with Pam Shriver, but never seen it before. But then she stepped it up and started coming over the ball again.
Scotty Jones serving. Just a little long. Yeah, just squeezing Dan Downey into the body there. Scotty Jones, undefeated throughout this State League season so far. Dan Downey, good record at number 1. A lot of talent. Him and his brother Alex Downey, they pair up incredibly well in the doubles. You can hear the crowd just acknowledging the point from Jerome Iaconi on court number 2. We're sticking with the top court at the moment, trying to close out this second set.
Yeah, so we're talking about Dan staying in that second set and what he had to change and do differently. And we said he had to build pressure. If he doesn't build pressure, it'll be all over very quickly. Start to build pressure. And, what we like to see is a bit of self-talk from a player under pressure, because then you know you're getting to them. And there's been a bit of self-talk from Scott.
Just overplaying that forehand. I love the court craft of Scotty Jones as we switch across to court number 2. Will Hann closest to the camera, serving from Cottesloe in a tiebreaker, first set. Lovely touch there. And that's the beauty of grass, the unpredictability of grass. That really just did die, that little touch shot.
Yeah, that's that lefty flair too, isn't it? They seem to have very good hands, very soft hands. But Jerome will be shaking his head trying to work out, how did I get here? He was 5-2 up and dropped 4 games in a row.
Double break, finds himself in a precarious situation here. 6-5, it isn't.
It's not a tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker, it's 6-5, 5-6. Will Hann serving. Oh, there goes the string. You can hear that.
Got to play the point out.
And there he just a little bit frustrating. I mean, that's the nature of tennis. So he broke the string. Got to play
the point out. You can't stop the point. No.
See him go to his change of ends, grab another racket. It is. He actually is serving at 6-5, serving for that first set.
And generally what you'll see happen when the player breaks a string, they'll be very, very conservative in their shots, because they won't try to hit the ball too hard, because the ball will trampoline off that loosened tension.
Good question for you though, Shane. The tension that Will would have grabbed another racket, same model, same string tensions, or were they different string tensions?
I think he would have gone into the match with the same string tension. I think players, certainly the better players, will choose a string tension suited to the conditions.
Will Hann serving Cottesloe, 6-5. Cottesloe Tennis Club. Overplaying. Match is over an hour duration. Overplaying that forehand, just catching the top of the tape.
And I remember you and I both spent a lot of time at Hopman Cup, and I remember I had conversations with the stringer there. I think Mark Halliwell was doing it for a long time. There were other stringers there.
Jason Weir, Hayden Gibson.
Weir, that's right, Hayden Gibson. I think I was having a conversation with Hayden. Hayden was saying that the players would bring in their 6 or 7 rackets at a time and might change their tension 3 or 4 kilos, just depending on whether the air was heavy, whether the air was light. And so I think you find that, and that typically changes on the surface they're playing on as well.
Yeah, it's interesting you should say that, because as we're watching Jerome Iaconi serve, tiebreaker, start of the tiebreak, first to 7 points. catching the top of the tape. So Jerome broke back and now he finds himself in a tiebreaker, and the let cord there for Will gives himself a 1-love lead in this tiebreaker. It's players, when they break a string and they go to their bag to pick up another racket, there is some anxiety around hitting that next shot because you don't know if the strings are playing exactly the same as you did for the first 45, 50 minutes an hour on court, because the strings will become a little bit looser as you play the match.
Absolutely.
And getting a new stick, a new racket, the strings will play a little tighter, so that does impact the way you play the game.
Absolutely, yeah.
1-love, Will Hann. First set tiebreaker. Lovely off forehand, the inside out forehand, out to the deep forehand. Just try to slice that back, Jerome Iaconi. And you're right, he needs to find something here, Jerome. He's all at sea, finding himself up 2 breaks.
But you know, he played a great game to break back when Will was serving for the set at 6-5, which was really against the flow of play.
Conditions here almost perfect for tennis, albeit it's a little bit hot, a little bit humid. A little bit of breeze coming from left to right of the screen as you're watching. Will Hann coming back into the camera. From Cottesloe, left-hander, currently leading 2 points to love in this tiebreaker in the first set against Jerome Iaconi. Overplaying that backhand wide. 3 points to love. Just going to the towel at the back of the court. It's changed a lot, Smeds. I mean, did you hold the towel at the back of the court, or were you just waiting on change of ends before you toweled yourself down? Was there wristbands? We spoke to Rhys MacDougall.
Oh, we had wristbands.
You had wristbands?
We had the big wristbands. Never had enough hair to wear a headband. But you always used to have a sweatband.
I've seen photos of you since you were 17 or 18, and there was plenty of hair there.
Oh, mate. And then you get married.
Yep.
And then it all falls out. That's what I told my wife. She wasn't very happy with me.
Good afternoon to Vils. You're watching, no doubt, through the West Australian live feed, through Scotty's Media. Jerome Iaconi serving, down 3 points to love. Lovely touch shot.
Beautiful shot.
And that's something he's added to his game, Jerome Iaconi. You can hear the crowd go up as one. Plenty of good-sized crowd here at Alexander Park Tennis Club in Menora, suburb of. Lovely hands. He probably needs to introduce that more into his game.
Yeah, I think most of these players need to have an A and a B game. If their A game doesn't work, they need to have something to fall back on, to mix it up, to change it, give their opponent something to look at.
Overplaying, a little bit of frustration creeping into Jerome's game, just smacking that ball away in frustration. Does come across the court. Will Hann has the right to pick it up, move it off the court, so it's not a hindrance. Beautiful touch again, right inside the baseline. Shane Smedley, I mean, what can you say about it? You can see Jerome kind of very happy with himself, going back to the back fence and clenching the fist.
Well, I think he was under a lot of pressure on that volley, and I think he benefited from hitting the volley into the breeze. So the breeze sort of died in the breeze, and the breeze started pushing it back into the net. So Will did a great job getting to it, but really had no option once he got there. And I've seen players in that position another time actually put that volley through somebody at the net, you know, rather than just a nice little gentle volley lob over their head. It's
funny you should say that. Nick Kyrgios was accused of going through one of his opponents, the number one doubles player.
No, he did. Yeah,
is that a fair and reasonable thing to do, to go through the player?
Well, I think at that level it is, and I think it wasn't the players that complained about it. It was the trainer and the coach complained about it.
Will Hann serving, currently leading 3 points to 2 in this opening set tiebreak against Jerome Iaconi. Beautiful swinging left hand. I mean, that's the value of the left-handed serve, particularly out to the backhand wing, that sliding serve.
Yeah, Rhys and I talked about it, both being left-handers, the advantage of when you've got the sea breeze coming in over his left shoulder and he's hitting the ball with the breeze, you can flatten it out down the middle or take him really wide.
Just kicking across to top court, Scotty Jones up against Downey.
I think he's still down a break, I think.
Still down a break. Scotty Jones won the first set from Cottesloe, 6-3. And we're seeing the score right now is 3-2 in favour of Downey, fighting back. Of course, there are singles 3 and single 4 going on behind these two courts.
Yeah, the problem.
Stay with court number 2.
The problem we got on the fours is that the boys haven't been updating their scorecards. It hasn't changed, unfortunately. But it looks like
a third set tiebreaker between Max Weir and Michael Faulkner behind the number 1 court.
Oh, good. Number 3s, yeah. But we haven't got an update on the 4s.
No, we haven't. Sam English up against Luca Katsumakis as Will Hann serves. 4 points to 2. First set tiebreak. Oh, that big lefty. Just again catching the top of the tape. I mean, this first set has taken well over an hour to play. Both these boys must be feeling the conditions out here. It is hot, it is humid. A little bit of breeze there that would cool them down, a little bit of relief. 3 points to 4, Jerome Iaconi from Alexander Park.
You would have seen just him take a few big deep breaths just to settle his nerves. It's a big point here. He got a point back against serve, 3-4. It's again talking about that point about Kyrgios hitting the guy on the court. I mean, I think it only becomes problematic if you can hit it somewhere else and you actually target someone.
Coney's serving. Big flat serve out wide to the forehand of Will Hann. Beautiful ace. I mean, that looks like to be the advantage end closest to the camera. A little bit of breeze coming left to right, but down the wind, down the court.
But tough for a right-hander when the ball's blowing away from him like that. And I think it's his first ace of the day, and what a time to do it. So 4
points apiece. Jerome Iaconi, name on the back of his Alexander Park tennis shirt, closest to the camera. 4-all, first set tiebreak. Yeah, lovely
nice
little touch. He set that up nicely with that big left-handed forehand down the line, catching Jerome probably 1.5 meters, 2 meters behind the baseline. 5-4. It's been topsy-turvy this first set.
It has, yeah. I think the whole set's been topsy-turvy. And I think that these points have been against serving the tiebreaker. So it's on his racket now, 5-4 with 2 serves to come. So he'll be looking for 2 key first serves. And we saw him serving when he was getting back into the match, when he was down 5-2, serving at the far end. We saw Will Hann ace Iaconi out wide with that breaking serve. Iaconi then covered it the next time. He aced him down the middle and managed to spread him really well, the advantage of the left-handed serve.
It appears to be that flat down the tee for the left-hander on the juice court is Will's favourite serve, and the swinging wide on the ad court. We'll see what he plays here, given that he is 5-4. 2 points away from closing out this first set, looking for the swinging wide serve for a left-hander.
He's gone body.
Beautiful hands. Jerome Iaconi. You can hear the crowd go up as one. 5 points apiece.
And a fist pump as well.
Loves the fist pump. And as Rhys MacDougall said, if he can get away with wearing the yellow sunnies, he's got to bring the game as well. And he's certainly doing that in this early or late stage of this tiebreaker. 5 points apiece. I think there's probably an error from Will Hann. Needed to probably slide that first serve wide.
It was a bit predictable on the drop shot, wasn't it? He's gone to that a few times of late.
5 points apiece. Overplaying. Oh, there you go. 6 points to 5. Jerome just overplaying that forehand into the bottom of the net. There's a couple of patches on this second court.
Yeah, look a bit dead, don't they, in that backhand court there, backhand service box. And that's been the trend's continuing. There's been a lot of points against serve in this tie break, and so Jerome will be looking to change that up. He's now got set point on his racket. He'll be serving the backhand court. Last time he played to the backhand court, he had a big serve out wide ace.
And he's probably thinking this set should have been closed out probably 30 minutes ago. He had ample opportunity to close the set out on serve. Here he is with another set point, the tiebreaker. Oh, there it is, first set.
Got away with it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did indeed. And that was just a little bit short in the stroke production from Will Hann as I see him changing ends, and we flick across to court number 1. Scotty Jones, beautiful play down the line.
And,
forehand.
And I've been watching that court off camera, and Scotty's thrown his racket a couple of times, so there's a bit of pressure on him. You know, there's always pressure when you're the hunted. Undefeated all year. Everybody wants his scalp. Everybody's chasing to beat him, and of course, there's a lot of pressure in that position.
There is indeed. Good sized crowd here at Alexander Park Tennis Club, Manoora, suburb of. It's building very nicely, culminating in what's going to be a tremendous doubles on the front 2 courts. On the back of these 4 singles, Downey serving closest to the camera, currently leading 4 games to 3, serving that first serve wide. Of course, you played here for many years, Shane. The courts haven't changed a lick in the last 20 odd years.
No, I love the courts there. They're always presented beautifully. There's always a great crowd here.
that's that deep forehand again from Scotty Jones. You can see him clenching the fist. All important 8th game of the second set after winning that first set to Scotty Jones. Undefeated throughout this Goods Property Service State League season. What are you seeing in Scotty's game that you're liking and it can keep him at the top of the game for a number of seasons to come?
Well, I think we've talked pretty much at length about his movement, his balance. He's got an all-court game. He's got an A and a B game, which I've talked about a few times. What I'm interested to see now, how he responds to this pressure, because he's under pressure now.
Yep.
I don't know what his stats are like over the course of a season, how many sets he's lost. He obviously hasn't lost a match, but how many sets he's lost. And there's a few signs, a few fractures in that veneer now where he's under a bit of pressure.
Yeah.
And of course the crowd's getting behind Dan, and Dan's playing really well. Dan's got his collar up, he's got a bit of a swagger about him, so he believes in himself now.
Does the home team, the home court advantage, I mean, we see that at the Australian Open, 8 Australians into the final in mixed and singles and doubles at the Australian Open this year. Is it another arm? Is it another sort of spring to your step? Does it give you that extra firepower?
Yeah, I think it does. I think if you're good enough to be able to handle it, but it can also put a lot of pressure on you. You're always someone that thrived in the audience, in the crowd. You always love that, still do. And I think
lovely
a
hands.
lovely point. Yeah, there, but you'll see it again. Is it just a few signs, a few cracks from Scott Jones there? But I think if you're someone that thrives on that, as I said, you always did. The top players always did. I think you played better. If you're a player, it wasn't quite at the top of the game and you've got all that pressure on you, it does put a lot of pressure on you.
Dan Downey, a nice overhead forehand. Very tough shot to play, the high forehand. The low forehands, mid-height, waist-height forehands are generally the easier volleys to play. He played a beautiful overhead. And Scotty Jones just taking a little extra time at the back of the court, toweling down. Dan Downey serving closest to the camera from Alexander Park Tennis Club.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is a game point here. Looks like Max Weir's finished on the back court.
Give you some updates in those scores as the day goes on. Beautiful hands again. And you can see Scotty Jones reacting to that drop shot, smashing the ball out of the arena. I mean, in anyone's language, that is a code.
That is a code, yeah. It should be worn for that. So
we've got the roving umpire here.
We do have
Ken
a ref
Brown
there.
floating around.
No, Ken's not the ref. There is not a ref. Ken's our team manager. So I thought he was a ref because he was dressed like the ref. But there's actually a ref here, and I don't think you would have seen that.
And for the regular viewers of State League, of course, if you hit a ball, smash your racket, you do get a code violation. 3 codes.
Yep. First is a warning, second is a point, third's default.
That's right. And we saw just the ball being smashed out of the arena from Scotty Jones, serving here. Down 5 games to 3 in the second set. There's always going to be a bogey match for Scotty Jones. Home court advantage. Yeah. Dan Downey, very good hands, good all-court player. Finds himself up 5 games to 3 with a break here in the second set.
And I think you'll find, talking about that code, I think if you hit a tennis ball and hit an official, I think it's an automatic default.
We saw that at the US Open last year with Novak Djokovic getting defaulted, hitting a linesman.
Yeah.
15 love. Big serve there, flat and wide out to the backhand. Not an easy serve to execute. Overplaying from Dan Downey. You can see Dan just taking some big breaths. He knows that this game here isn't all that important. He's got a chance to hold serve at the change of ends to serve out the second set.
But having said that, you'd like 2 chances, wouldn't you? You'd like to have a really solid game on return of serve to keep the pressure on him.
Scott Jones serving, Cottesloe, catching the top of the tape. Dan Downey closest to the camera from Alexander Park. And just shaking his head. And you're right, you want to make sure that your opponent, particularly in these situations, spends a lot longer on serve. Build some doubt. Big flat wide, nice return, and there's the little touch drop shot. And we can see that change of end. So this is an opportunity for Dan Downey to serve for that first set as we switch across to court number 2, closest to the camera, Will Hann. Long flowing hair with a cap on. Closest to the camera from Cottesloe, losing the first set 7 games to 6 against Jerome Iaconi, the hometown Alexander Park Club hero.
He'll be a bit disappointed, won't he? Did all the hard work to get back into that set, was on his racket too to win the tie break, and gave it away again.
Will serving. Overplaying that forehand long.
And I was having a conversation with Rhys before, Rhys being a coach, obviously a high-performance coach at Mount Lawley Tennis Club. We were talking about the ball speed through the air of Will Hann's forehand. It looks big, but it's not big. I remember in our day playing, Colin Napier used to hit the ball the same way. A lot of topspin on that forehand, massive topspin. It looked fast when you're sitting on the sidelines watching it, but when you're out there, you actually had plenty of time because the ball would dip and it would sit up, and that's what's been hurting Will out here today.
It's an interesting point too, because it does sound like a shotgun going off when he hits it.
Yeah, it's big, yeah. But you watch it through the air, it's not so big.
And that's how important it is to be able to see and hear and then put the speed of the ball together. The faculties are all important in tennis, the sight and the hearing. People talk about when people grunt when they hit the ball. It's a bit of sportsmanship. Hard serving. Overplaying that forehand. It is important in your day be able to hear the ball come off the racket. It does give you time to know whether they are hitting it hard, soft, what the spin looks like.
And I think a lot of the top players on tour struggle in that when they play in big crowds. They can't actually hear the ball being hit, so they struggle with speed. They struggle trying to understand how hard the ball's been hit. They can obviously see the ball, but they struggle to hear it. Today,
some clear of hearing. Will Hann serving. Cottesloe, closest to the camera. Again, catching that forehand deep behind himself and top of the tape. That's been his weakness today.
Yeah, and his body weight's going back too. Early on he was leaning forward into the court, but now he's going back a lot more. And I think he could do a lot better. He could lift his game another 10-20% if he flattened that forehand out. I mean, he's got beautiful hands, so he should be looking to flatten that forehand out and get into the net a bit more, because as we've seen, he's got great hands, he's got a great overhead, but he seems quite comfortable staying back.
Indeed he does. We're watching court number 2 here at Alexander Park Tennis Club. Round number 10 of the Goods Property Services State League competition. Jerome Iaconi, furthest from the camera from Alexander Park, winning the first set. Will Hann serving, Cottesloe. There's that forehand. Mid-court forehand, no problems at all. Deep forehand, out to that forehand wing, struggling.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this generation, they are a generation where they've all been taught the same way. Big serve, big forehand. And what we seem to be losing is that individuality. Yeah. I think the high performance coaches do a great job.
It's interesting to get this point you raised around the style of game nowadays. The personalities is one thing. We're seeing that a lot from Nick Kyrgios, and he's asking for better personalities as we see Will Hann serve. Catching the top of the tape again. Will Hann, Nick Kyrgios has mentioned many times in his press conference about the need for more personalities on the main stage, but the game almost remains the same.
Yes, yeah, you're right. I think there haven't been a lot of identities on court since we saw Agassi, since we saw McEnroe. I mean, Sampras was a great player, but he was very stoic. Lender was a great player, but very stoic. Obviously, Borg had his own style of personality, which had a lot of followers. But most, you look at Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Murray. They're all. There's not a lot of great personality out there.
But you know what the beauty of, and this is why people, my understanding is why people love Roger and Rafa combination as we watch Will Hann serving. Is that yin and yang of style, and we haven't seen that through big serve, wide. We probably haven't seen, we've seen the Borg and McEnroe, that's spoken about as one of the greatest
rivalries of all
time. The Martina Navratilova, Chrissy Everett, one of the greatest rivalries of all time. The Sampras Agassi.
That's good. Nice ball. That's a great point. Great
but
point.
But it's a yin and yang, because if you look at Martina and Navratilova and Chris Everett, they had a long-standing rivalry. If you look at if you look at the Borg and McEnroe, they only played about 15 or 16 times. If you look at the way that Federer and Nadal have played, how many times? It's about 30 or 40, and the same as Djokovic and Nadal. But Novak and Rafa, same style, really.
Yes.
Ground court, base court, counter punches. Roger
Great
gave you a
moves.
different look.
He did.
One-hander, different spins, move forward, and that's why they'll always regard as Roger and Rafa as probably that greatest rivalry of all time.
Yeah, and that's why you got Navratilova and Everett. Everett was a baseliner, a counter puncher. Navratilova would serve and volley, chip and come in, like to play at the front of the court. McEnroe and Borg, obviously the same.
And we look at the Sampras-Agassi rivalry. That's spoken about, big serve, as one of the great rivalries through the 90s. But the reality is they didn't play that many times.
No, I know.
Compared to playing Becker or playing Lendl or playing, there's some other players throughout that generation. But it was the yin and the yang, the base court, the baseliner with the flair against the big serve and all-court game of Sampras.
And Agassi had a following too, as we said at the start of the day. He had a big following because of his long hair until he lost it, and his stone-washed jeans and the style that he played in was quite brash.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we don't see that too much. Obviously, Kyrgios is trying to tap into that, and he's realised now that he's got more market as an entertainer, and he's really trying to step into that.
So we switch across to court number one, closing stage of this second set. We see Scotty Jones get a nice break. Up 6-5, and you can see the frustrations from Dan Downey just smashing the racket into the chair. Where's that next great rivalry coming from? We see Tsitsipas, the one-hander, the aggression, Daniil Medvedev, throw back to the baseliner like Novak Djokovic. Is that the next great rivalry we're seeing?
I was looking at all the young fellas coming out now. Sinner, Aliassime, Tsitsipas. Who was the other one?
Alexander Zverev. We've got Denis Shapovalov.
Shapovalov. He was, there's four top young fellas there. Who knows how that will develop? And they're all different. They're all different.
Where's the Pat Rafters? Where's the John McEnroes?
Don't see it.
Where's the Stefan Edbergs? So we're watching closing stages of this second set between Dan Downey, closest to the camera from Alexander Park. Upper break, serving for that second set against the number one rated player in the state at the moment, Scotty Jones from Cottesloe.
I think we all thought Dimitrov was going to be the next one because he was touted as a baby fed, and we thought he never sort of came on.
Roger Federer? Grigor Dimitrov.
Dimitrov, yeah. So he was touted as a baby fed. He had just about identical stroke production to Federer, and we thought he'd be the next big thing, but never really came on, did he? He got top 10, but sort of then drifted out again.
Turin Championships, but just never. I mean, contention-wise, he put himself deep into Grand Slams, semi-finalists, but. I mean, against the greats of Roger, Rafa and Novak and Andy Murray at that time, and even Stan Wawrinka coming in as Dan Downey serving, very, very hard to compete at the highest level, trying to close out a Grand Slam.
And you've got to win 7 matches often. You're playing 7 matches, and 3 or 4 of them will probably be 5-setters as well. So there's a lot of tennis to be played.
Catching the top of the tape, a little bit of frustration from Scotty Jones. He knows the importance of this 12th game of the second set, winning the first set 6-2, was down a break here, got back to 6-5. And again, those easy unforced errors is something that he tries to mitigate. He doesn't hit a lot of unforced errors. He's very consistent.
Yeah, he's very steady, and he's done really well to get back into it. We did ask the question earlier on that second set if he had the temperament to work hard to get back into that second set when he was down, but he's got back, so he'd be disappointed that last point because it was a free point, cheap point.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, deep backhand set up, the short forehand. He loves the off forehand, does Scotty Jones. Moves in too, doesn't stand back on the laurels. He moves forward and takes that net position.
And that's what's so impressive about him, because he knows it's a big point. He's putting pressure on Downey now because he's coming in. And that's what's so impressive about him, because he can elevate his game.
Serving 15-all. Again, and you can hear the crowd going up as one here. Big support crowd for Dan Downey. That body serve there.
I was kind of hoping you would just say in.
Perfect grass courts here at Alexander Park Tennis Club, suburb of Manoora, situated between Yokai and North Perth.
Come on!
Dan Downey serving at 30-15. Big point here. Oh, all over it. Lovely point from Downey then. Made a chip backhand, came into the net, was looking for the ball down the line, was sort of leaning for the forehand volley and got the forehand volley and knifed a forehand volley cross court. So 40-15, 2 points to take it to a tiebreaker.
The rest of it's been great.
You can see the beautiful green production of these courts at Alexander Park. John Gillette, big shout out to John. I mean, these are some of the best courts you'll find anywhere in the world, Southern Hemisphere, grass courts.
Well, we've both played over different places around Australia on grass court events, and they're certainly superior to anything else we've seen.
Downey serving. Opportunity to force a tiebreaker here, second set.
Oh, another cheap point there. That's back into a tiebreak now.
Cottesloe leading today's tie. Max Weir defeating Michael Faulkner in 3 sets, 6-3, 2-6, 10-7 in the super tiebreaker. Max Weir continues on with his unbeaten record so far throughout the season.
Congratulations to Max. That's tiebreak third.
Other matches, Luca Katsumakis up against Sam English. Sam English took the first set 6-4. Luca Katsumakis in the second set 7-5. In the third set, super tiebreaker first to 10 points.
So our first two singles, or singles 3 and 4, have gone to match tiebreaks.
They have. Let's serve.
You know, we've
from the back of the court.
played on courts, grass courts on the East Coast. Victorian courts are always a little bit problematic because there was never enough really hot weather for it. New South Wales were a bit better, and the best place best weather for grass would be up in Queensland. Of course, they play synthetic grass most of the time up there, don't they?
And of course, WA, a rich tradition of holding some great events throughout the 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s. I mean, Shane, you would have played probably early in your career some of the WA Opens with the likes of Yannick Noah and Stefan Edberg and at Royal Kings Park on those beautiful grass courts. Lovely return from Scotty Jones. So the move from grass to rebound ace back in 1988 and really changed the dynamics of lead-in events, because the WA Open was a significant lead-in event leading into the Australian Open. We saw the likes of, I made mention, Stefan Edberg and Yannick Noah, and before that it was Lou Hode and Kenny Rose were on the great Rod Laver. They used to come and play these events.
As a lead-in, yeah, exactly right, yeah.
And it's all changed.
Yeah.
I mean,
away from Kooyong.
Have you seen the grass transition to rebound ace? Do you think it's the right move as Dan Downey's about to serve?
From a talent development point of view, absolutely. I think, but what we do lose is we lose that grass court craft, and that's why we only see players playing probably 3 or 4 weeks in a grass court season, and they'll play a grass court 1 or 2 lead-up events to Wimbledon.
Beautiful lob, just a little long, foot long. Good serve, holder serve there in the super tiebreaker.
And that's all they'll play. You know, they'll play 3 or 4 weeks. They'll play maybe 2, one in Germany or one in a couple in Eastbourne or Wimbledon, and that's all they'll play. Then they move off it again. So from a development point of view, it makes sense.
Scotty Jones serving, down 1 point to love. Started the second set super tiebreaker. Beautiful deep. Again, the deep forehand to the backhand wing of Dan Downey is paying dividends. So Dan really should be sitting on that, looking for that down the line forehand.
Yeah.
See the crowd go up. Court next door, Jerome Iaconi, just beautiful forehand down the line, just off camera.
Well,
1 point apiece here with Scotty Jones and Dan Downey.
So both Alexander Park players are obviously being lifted by the crowd. The crowds have already got quite loud here. They've had a wine tasting this afternoon. They've had a great time in the with the refreshments.
And a whiskey tasting.
And a whiskey tasting too. That's where you were.
That's special.
Oh, great point.
Absolutely special play from Dan Downey. Opening up that forehand wing to give him an opportunity to hit his favourite shot down the line forehand. Giving himself a mini breaker serve here in the second set tiebreaker, Shane.
Yeah, and as well as Scott moves, you couldn't get anywhere near that. So you like a whiskey, do you?
Don't.
You don't?
No, I'm not a whiskey drinker.
No, I tried it. Couldn't get into it at all.
The Bundaberg's ginger beer. That's my favourite.
Oh, yeah. Matzos?
No, don't drink the Matzos. Just like to drink the water, and the ginger beer is my Drink of choice. As we're seeing Downey serving, you like the obvious beverage, the APTC.
Aperitif. He's
Serving wine.
He's getting a bit distracted.
Yep.
Dan, isn't he?
Well, there it is, that low dipping backhand down to the incoming Downey, catching the top of the tape. I mean, that's a very tough shot to play. That ball coming dipping low.
It is.
You need a bit more speed on your serve, and you need to be moving forward a lot quicker to catch the ball at a higher part to volley.
Yeah, you're right. You need incredible hands for that. And
we used to see yesteryear that Johnny McEnroe used to hit the ball first serve or first volley inside the service line.
Yes.
Pat Rafter the same, Stefan Edberg the same.
Yes.
Becker
the same.
Becker the same. And that was all built on the back of the big kick first serve.
Yeah,
Give yourself time to get in, Shane.
I just a couple of things I'm seeing from Downey here. He's rushed his change of ends. He's lost a couple of points he obviously wasn't happy with. He was a bit distracted by the crowd. The crowd's quite vocal out here. You know, they're trying to support him and trying to get him up, but he's sort of buying into the few of the comments. But it sort of shows me he's not right in that moment, which he needs to be. And he sort of rushed his change of ends, whereas Scotty, the consummate professional, has sat down and he's not allowed to sit there for too long, but he had a quick drink, towed off, and he resets himself.
Yep.
So
Australian under-18s champion, Scotty Jones, a few years ago, played at the wildcard playoff at Melbourne Park. Just changing over to Rhys MacDougall.
It's been ebbs and flows out here. You know, you would have also been on the sidelines. Rhys, welcome back into the commentary box. And there's been a lot of ebbs and flows on both courts out here.
There has, yeah. Dan's really picked up his game over there and just, you know, he's been hanging tough like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, he had to build some pressure.
Yeah,
That's exactly what he started doing.
Yeah, and probably Scott's level dropped a little bit, but he's kind of been up and down a bit, hasn't he?
He has, and I think I was saying to Brett when you're off air is that it's hard to be the hunted week in, week out, every single week. Everybody wants to beat him. It's the scalp that they want to put on their belt, and he's being chased all the time.
Second serve. These are probably the moments where a guy like Scott, you know, you would expect that he's really going to step up. You know, these crucial moments here. Just he's been there, he's done that. He's been in this situation so many times. He will expect that he can hold and win this tiebreaker.
Yep.
Whereas Dan's probably thinking, you know, it'd be great to win this tiebreaker and get myself in there. Scott, he will have that belief that he can definitely win this tiebreaker, and he should be winning this tiebreaker.
And you only get that from being in that position over and over and over again, that self-belief and the ability to be able to swing freely in key points.
Yeah, so 2 unforced errors, wasn't it, from Dan there? Could be crucial, but
Must be getting pretty close into this tiebreaker here.
so Dan needs to really consolidate, doesn't he? He needs to hold here. These two points are going to be really important on serve. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a semi-half-hearted attempt to come in behind the serve, wasn't it? As an afterthought, he should have been coming in straight away behind it. That's better. That's better.
Yeah, good second serve.
That was how he got back into the second set, wasn't it? We're having a chat about what he needed to do, and he needed to do that. And on his first serve, he served a sort of thought, oh, perhaps I should go in, and didn't. But his second serve, he committed to it. He needs to do this again. He needs to win this point.
Yeah. Great execution, wasn't it? I mean, he hit the spot with
from a tough spot, really.
Yeah, exactly. Put the pressure on, and you can see how hard it is to get past someone like that when your presence at the net is there, and you're established at the net. It's really hard for that player on the run to hit it past you.
And he's a good athlete, and he's tall. Yeah, that's just 2 great points, isn't it?
Yeah, just missed. He's just
Oh, he
missed
missed
that.
it, did he?
Missed the volley long, just fractionally long,
Wasn't much
unfortunately.
in it,
So
was it?
yeah, exactly. But the intention was there. So well played to Scott. Cottesloe win that rubber 6-2, 7-6.
And Scotty Jones rolls on.
Scotty Jones rolls on.
Another straight sets win, but the scoreline won't tell the story, will it?
No, that's right. There's questions of what could have been there for Dan. He was very close. He was right there with it. Back over on court 3 as well. Max Weir continues his unbeaten streak as well. So he, Max had a win over there.
Yeah, in a match tiebreak.
In a match tiebreak.
And the boys
so,
on
yeah.
court 4 in a match tiebreak.
Well, I think
Just
that's
finished,
just
haven't they?
finished as well. So in the back, you can just see that in the back foreground there. They're shaking hands there. I did hear a loud come on. I think Luca Katsumakis might have got there in the end. So that might be another rubber there to, well, 1 rubber at least anyway, to Alexander Park. But we'll have to confirm that.
So what's the state of the day? We've got 1 rubber, Alexander Park, 2 rubbers to Cottesloe.
I think that's the case. We'll have to confirm that. I just think Luca might have just got over the line there. Looking at the body language, Sam English is quick to get out of there. Luca,
Yeah, you're right.
Luca
He's
looks
not
happy.
happy.
He's
No,
shaking
he's
the
not happy
hands.
yet.
Yeah, there's a shake of hands there. So I put that rubber down now to Alexander Park, which now makes this court that we're watching right here
Very
a
important,
really
isn't it?
crucial
Yeah.
match. Will Hann and Jerome Iaconi.
You know, just going back to that last point off camera now, we had when Dan Downey's hit that volley. You know, well, it was a beautiful deep volley, well executed, and if it landed in, Scotty Jones hit his ball long, they're back into the tiebreak, and anything could happen.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that 1 point, missed it, and the match is over.
Match is over. And
Yeah.
we're talking about 1 centimetre, aren't we? The margins are so
nothing,
slim.
nothing in it, nothing in it at all. That ball goes in, he misses the lob, you're back on serve 6-all.
Yeah,
Anything
exactly.
could happen. It's just tight game. You know, matches can pivot on 1 or 2 points, can't they? They really can.
And you know, credit to Dan. He put himself in that position there. He got himself right back into that match after losing the first set 6-2. He got back to a position where he could win. He was in front, wasn't he? He was up a break actually, and Scott managed to break late in the set. And that's the class of Scott Jones again, just showing through. And then in the crucial moments, and you see this time and time again as well. I noticed this playing also state league as well. Just these tried and tested athletes and tennis players, they just seem to manage to win those important points and win the tiebreakers, and therefore they win the rubber.
Well, that's what makes it great players, doesn't it? They win those tight matches all the time. You know, how many times you see players through the Australian Open, the top players, the very, very top players find a way to win, even if they're not playing well at the time. They still find a way to win. Because you know what they do, and I remember that they interviewed Monica Seles one day, and when she was on that run before she got that injury on court, and she remember she got attacked on court. Before that stage, she was one of the best players going around the world, and they said, "What do you do differently between big points and little points?" She said, "Nothing. I play every point the same.
Yeah.
Every point. There's no fear.
No.
No fear. And if you can play with no fear, you then stand the chance to execute the way you want to execute. Whereas most players have that self-doubt and that internal voice talking to them, and it changes the way they play.
Yeah, exactly. It's the freedom to play the shot you need to play at that time, isn't it?
Exactly right.
Jerome serving now here, 4-1 up in a commanding position now. So this is, again, Jerome was well and truly up in the first set, and Will fought back, and Jerome's now up 4-1, 15 love. This could even the score, couldn't it? If Jerome gets this rubber, then we're at 2-all, and it's all to play for in the doubles. So exciting day.
And what you're talking about before. It's that freedom, isn't it? That self-belief, that freedom to be able to execute. And we find the best players do that more.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, you mentioned Monica Seles and just played the point like I played the last point.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to play the next point and the point after that.
Every point's the same. No point has any more value than any other point. Still 1 point. And it served her pretty well.
Yeah, one of the greats, wasn't she?
Oh, fantastic to watch. And I think the only woman we've ever seen 2 hands off both sides.
Yeah, exactly. So really hard player to play, isn't it? When you hit the ball down the other end of the court and you're kind of wondering where's the forehand, where's the backhand,
Well, yeah,
where's the weakness,
yeah, exactly,
where do I find a way in here?
Well, the only weakness is going to be if you're hitting it two hands off both sides, then you've got to have exceptional movement, don't you? Because you do lose reach.
Yeah.
And Monica was never the greatest mover, but she moved well.
No, she did move well. I've heard comments of Monica just practicing from one spot in the court for hours at a time, just trying to perfect one particular shot from out wide, for example, out wide, out near the service line,
It's
trying
that
to hit that ball.
focus, isn't it?
Just hours and hours of practice, and when you're under that pressure, you can just play that shot.
And it's a scary thought when you think about it, because you get, if you're on the pro tour and you're working your butt off, working as much as you can, there's always going to be someone doing more work than you. So you just got to, how many sacrifices do you make? How much do you sacrifice? What are you going to do off the court that's going to potentially make up for your skill deficiencies on court? And you look at, Monica Seles doing that drill, just hit that shot over and over and over and over again. If someone else is not doing that, doing the work she's doing, there's the advantage.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this day and age as well, you look at the whole holistic point of view, don't you, as well? It's just you've got to be able to play that shot, but you've got to also have that calmness and that confidence and your body to feel in the right
no
shape
injury,
and no injury.
injuries.
Exactly. So, you can train all day and you might get an injury and that puts you back another 6 months. So you've got to find that balance, don't you? Jerome serving here.
Yeah, he's got a bit tentative on his last two forehands, isn't he? Yeah, he knows it too. He's sort of really eased off in that forehand. And that's probably something you'll be having a chat to him about after, won't you?
Yeah, look, definitely. It's been interesting, hasn't it? He's been up, well and truly up in the set, and at both moments when he's been up, he's kind of backed off again. So
yeah, he has, yeah. Gone away from what he was doing to get there.
Yeah, he needs to just keep putting the pedal down and keep doing exactly what he was doing to get himself in that situation. Good to see him take a little bit of time here on this serve.
Yeah, got away with that one.
Yeah.
And you look at, Nadal came back from a knee injury, and Nadal had knee injuries for a while. Murray came back from a back injury. Doesn't look like Fed's going to come back from his knee injury, though.
Yeah, well, look, he's a little bit older, isn't he, Federer?
He
so
is, yeah.
It'll be a surprise to see if he does come back. I'm sure he will come back in some capacity, just as a farewell. That's the way I see it anyway. But
Maybe Wimbledon?
Yeah, maybe Wimbledon might be the farewell, and just to get out on court and say farewell to all the spectators. But you never know.
Well, he won't play French, will he?
You wouldn't think so. And there's another unforced error, and
There we
we're
go.
not happy with that.
Gone.
And
Now's the test for your charge now, to see if he can hold his medal again, because he was in this position, or he's up 5-2 in the first set, and just fell across the line the tie break. So see if he can hold his nerve this time, because he's up 5-1.
Yeah, he got the double break, so he really should be putting him away here. But we'll see what happens. See how Will responds. Serving to stay in the match at 1-5.
And I think the only one of the top 4 men in the world, Djokovic, hasn't had an injury, has he?
Yeah, that's correct. He seems to be injury free, doesn't he?
Considering the way that he plays.
Yeah, yeah. Look, again, you talk about that holistic view, don't you? He seems to be taking leaves out of all kinds of books, doesn't he, Djokovic, to put his mind and his body and himself in the best possible position. He's very single-minded, I think, to try and be the best tennis player he can possibly be, and also be the best tennis player that ever was, really. I think that's his single-minded focus.
That's where he wants to be. I mean, if Nadal wins tonight, it puts him one ahead of Djokovic, one ahead of Federer on the Grand Slams they've won. So then Djokovic has got to win 2 more to get ahead of him. So, I mean, maybe that was a lot to do with why Djokovic wanted to play this last one. I don't know whether you heard this morning, but there was some the latest news this morning in the whole Djokovic saga was that there's proof now that the Serbian government forged some of the paperwork testifying to his not his vaccination status, but whether he had COVID.
Yeah, okay.
So that'll be, if that plays out, that'll be interesting to see. That was the latest report today.
Well, it'll be interesting to see the backlash and how that affects him moving forward, doesn't it? In the French Open, particularly with the next major coming up, and as you said, if Rafa manages to win, then Rafa's the favourite to win the French Open as well.
Well, he is too, yes.
Yeah. So. He's getting a bit loose, isn't he? Well, seems to be a fair few unforced errors coming off the forehand wing now, which could really.
Having seen most of his match, he pretty much falls off that forehand.
Yeah.
You know, when he was early on the match, he was leaning into the ball, but he falls at that forehand a lot and pulls a lot of them along, lifts a lot of them along. Yeah, just gone into his shell again, hasn't he? The ball's on his racket to win, Iaconi, and he's just played a passive pointing game.
Yeah, I mean, credit there to Will as well. He hung in the point, he pushed him wide, and it just skidded through a little bit on Jerome. I think he just got caught a little bit on that with that good slice, but you know.
Yeah, I think it was a point earlier when he had a forehand action moved through the forehand. He could have kept on going and sort of got inside the court. Oh, that's a bailout. Yeah, that's a little bit lazy there. We haven't seen him hit that shot all day, have we? That slice forehand.
No, that's pressure there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's just
1-5 down. I think it's 15-30 now. So this is a big point for Will. He needs to really hold.
Well, he's been serving well to the backhand side, so you expected him to go to his favourite serve out wide.
Yeah.
Lot higher risk going down the middle. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. That was a big point.
Yeah, well played. Yeah, it wasn't a lot on the approach, was there? But Jerome executed that passing shot really well. I think again the serve, wasn't it? It was just kind of rolled into the backhand. Wasn't really
didn't do a lot, did it?
Didn't do a lot, and that allowed Jerome to dictate that point. So now we're looking at match point here for Jerome, and
good to see him slowing down. You've obviously been coaching him while he's slowing down, making him think about it.
Taking his time. This is for Alexander Park to even the score at 2 rubbers all.
That's very Medvedev looked like that backhand because he's hit that from about 4 metres on the baseline then.
Yeah, well, he really loves the backhand. He's very, very comfortable on that backhand side.
He's made it again.
There's another backhand pass to win. So
well done. Big win for Iaconi.
The crowd appreciate the homegrown
6-1.
Jerome Iaconi there as he pumps the fist.
Very popular result here.
Well, it's all to play for now, isn't it? So we've got a live doubles.
2-2, yep.
With 2 doubles to come, so all to play for. Yeah, I'm not... if we go back to the conversation we had with Rafa and, I mean, it's all the talk at the moment, isn't it, with Rafa and Djokovic and those players. The story just continues, doesn't it? You kind of thought it was coming to an end with Djokovic just probably ready to overtake and get, if he played in the Australian, maybe to win and go to 21, 22. But now all of a sudden with this whole saga playing out, Rafa now stares at 21 and possibly 22 with his favourite tournament. And it just the saga continues, which is actually really great, I think, for tennis in a whole.
Yeah, great for the game. I think by his own admissions, I don't think Rafa's played that great this Australian Open. He's got the job done, but he's had a pretty good run, and he's got the job done, but it doesn't look like the Rafa was seen a few years ago. He doesn't look quite as imposing as he has before. So, whilst we're talking about you could go ahead of Djokovic and Federer, I find it hard to make a case he could beat Medvedev. I think Medvedev's looked great. Mentally super strong under a lot of pressure out there with the crowds and things like that, and a lot going on around him, a lot of noise. And I find it very hard to think that Nadal could beat Medvedev. I'd love to see Nadal win because I'd love to see this rivalry of who's going to have the most Grand Slams go on. But I don't know.
You're right. Medvedev could definitely spoil the party there and keep everyone on that 20, even 20 number. But look, I agree. Medvedev's really he's got that air about him, hasn't he? He's got that confidence now. Last time they played, he lost in a really tight 5-setter in a final, and he felt like he had his chances, didn't he, in that final, and he didn't quite get over the line, just purely because of playing that Rafa Nadal. But does Rafa still have that air of superiority? We'll wait and see. I mean, look, I think it could go either way. I think Rafa could win. I think Medvedev could win. But you know what? I think it's going to go all the way. I think it's going to be a 5-setter. Hard to pick. Like you said as well, I'd love to see
Nadal win.
Yeah, Nadal win for the storyline to continue. But even if it doesn't, the storyline does continue anyway, doesn't it?
Well, there's all three players on 20 Grand Slam wins. So I think Djokovic. That's why he was so keen to get here, because he was probably one of the top two fancies to win the Australian Open. He'd be one of the top two fancies to win the US Open. He's not going to win. He's not going to win the French, I don't think, because it's not his surface. But having said that, how close has he been in the French?
Yeah, well, he's been really close, hasn't he, Djokovic? So it's not that he can't do it. It's just that superiority of Rafael Nadal on the clay court in France. He's only been beaten a couple of times in his whole career at the French Open, so it's like his home court. He kind of owns that court, doesn't he? So, Djokovic has got that up against him, and obviously, we got to wait and see. Is Nadal going to be fit? Is his foot injury going to carry him through to that part of the year? There's still a few months to go,
yes,
so a lot could happen in the meantime, couldn't it?
And I think if anything's going to serve Nadal well in this final tomorrow night, it's going to be the fact that he's been there so many times, isn't it? Whereas Medvedev hasn't been in the finals that Nadal's been in, and won the finals that Nadal's won. So there's a huge amount of self-belief there, knowing that you've got enough, you've done it before, you know how to do it. Medvedev is still searching for his first Grand Slam, so I think that's be interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I love the on-court interview with Nadal, where we talked about just being in the moment and enjoying it, and just playing for that one match. And it's the Australian Open. He's not focusing on the 21, although of course it'll be in the back of his mind. But I think he's mature enough. He's played enough tennis just to go, you know what? I've been in this situation before. I'm going to enjoy it for what it is, and I think that actually makes it easier for Nadal than possibly what it does for Medvedev.
Just frees him up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Having said that, Nadal doesn't really think about the 20 Grand Slams. I do remember 12 months ago he had his shoes with 20 on it. Remember, he had his shoes on the sidewalls of his shoes.
Yeah.
He had 20 on there, so he knows about it. Of course, they all know about it, and they all want to be recognised as the most successful, most winning tennis player ever play the game. I mean, how important was it to Serena Williams to get over Margaret Court's record?
Well, yeah, exactly. And she's kind of hasn't been able to do it, has she?
No,
she's just been stuck there even as well. So, and you know what? I mean, you can see what that pressure is like. So, will that pressure affect Nadal? I'd like to think that he's playing freely, and I don't think it really will affect him. But Medvedev's going to take it to him, and it's just going to be a great match either way.
And what are your thoughts on the latest of the new crop of juniors? No, not juniors, the young men coming out there now. There's probably four everybody's talking about: Shapovalov, Sinner, Aliassime, and Tsitsipas.
Yeah, great. And I think you can throw Rublev in there as well. Rublev's one of those.
Rublev?
Yeah, look, Rublev's a big player as well. I think he'll be. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of him as well. But yeah, they're all chomping at the bit, aren't they? They're not far away. They're looking to push these guys, and some of the Tsitsipas and Sinner in the quarterfinals. Tsitsipas constantly making now semi-finals. So these guys are there. They're ready to go. The belief is there. I think it's just opportunity, isn't it? And taking those opportunities.
Well, I just say, thank goodness that we've got a next crop of young players coming through, because let's face it, we've seen Djokovic, Nadal, Federer, and Murray dominate for the last 15 years. And pretty much they've shared most of the Grand Slams between them. Obviously Murray to a lesser extent when he got injured, but those four have really dominated Grand Slams, and he expected them to be the four players going through deep into every tournament. But now we've got 4 or 5 players coming through who, you know, they don't need to do much wrong, those top players now. They're all getting older.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And if we bring our attention back here, just looking out over court number 1, there's a couple of players out there. Just interesting to see what the lineup's going to be. Do you know what the lineup's going to be here for?
I would expect this is going to be Dan and Alex Downey together, playing together.
Yeah, so it looked like Dan and Alex Downey are going to be playing the number 1 pair on court 1.
They'll come up against Scott Jones, and Scott usually plays with Will Hann, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think it'll be Scott and Will, but we'll wait and see what that transpires to be. Brenton Bacon's, I see, in the
Brenton's
wings.
all towed up, ready to go. So
it'll be
double
interesting
specialist.
to see. He's a double specialist. He's played at the highest level as well, so looks like he's heading over this way towards court number 2.
And this is what we see now as well. The teams don't announce their pairs until they're ready to go, and so there's a lot of ducks and drakes going to go, and who's going to play with who. The highest ranked player's got to play number 1 doubles. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So there's a rating or ranking system as well, whereby you have to nominate your number 1 singles player and number 1 doubles player. So the number 1 singles player doesn't actually have to be the number 1 doubles player. There is a separate rating system for that. So quite often it is the same player, but it can vary.
So you can bring a doubles specialist in who has a higher rating than maybe a higher doubles rating than what the number 1 singles player is.
Absolutely, yeah, okay. Absolutely. So that does make it interesting, and for a few of the teams in the state league, that's certainly the case. Looks like Dan Downey and
his brother Alex.
And Dan. So Dan's obviously the number 1 singles player and the number 1 doubles player as well. So that means he has to play number 1 in both singles and doubles.
Your ranking would be stronger in doubles now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I try and stay away from the singles if I can. I'm happy to just play doubles.
Oh, you're a doubles specialist too?
I'd like to call myself a doubles specialist, but the problem is I do have to fill in and play singles occasionally, just depending on injuries and the rest of our team. So if there's any way I can avoid playing singles, I will. But otherwise, I enjoy playing doubles. I really enjoy mixing it up with these guys as well.
Looks like we've got Cottesloe's second doubles pair. Looks like it's Adam Kehan and Brenton Bacon out there. So they brought Adam in for the doubles. He didn't play singles.
Yeah, and Brenton, so a fresh pair, fresh legs out here in the heat. It'll be interesting to see now what happens. I don't think the Alexander Park team have that extra depth today. So it would be interesting to see who comes out here and plays this number 2 pair.
They haven't given anything away, have they yet?
No, that's right.
So what surprises me is both Adam and Brenton haven't played today. You'd expect that. They're just starting to walk out on court now. You think they'd be spending 20 or 15 or 20 minutes warming up, wouldn't you, so they can get into the speed of the game straight away. It's very, very hard to come in cold when all the boys you're playing are all been playing.
Yeah. I think they probably know what's going on with the time, and they're probably figuring they don't want to use up too much energy, but at the same time they do need to get ready, that's for sure. They need to get acclimatised to the court here. The other guys, as you said, have already played, so these guys might be hitting some balls shortly. But in the meantime, the Downey brothers, Alex Downey down the far end and Daniel Downey, warming up, waiting for their opponents.
So I've had the pleasure to have a bit to do with Alex Downey. Alex is a student at Curtin University. He was our top tennis player in the Western Series University team, went through undefeated. Lovely young man. He's not playing so much tennis anymore because he's focusing on his thesis. So he's sort of easing his way out of tennis, so you probably won't see too much of him anymore. But a lovely young man.
Yeah, both these guys, the Downey brothers, both trained together for a long time. They would have been training together and hitting together probably for the last 10 or 12 years. And as you say, Alex, focusing more on his studies now. Daniel, I believe, is still working hard with his game and aspiring to try and break through those ranks of the ATP. And again, it's these times are really difficult, aren't they? Everyone's kind of trapped in WA. Yes. You either got to make a move or you get trapped here. So
well, you make a move and you can't come back.
That's right.
As we saw with the Scorchers, as we've seen with the women's glory team, they can't get back.
Yeah. So a lot of players are hesitant to go, and your Scott Joneses and Daniel Downeys, those two players there, they would have loved to, in an ideal world, would have loved to have tested their mettle on the Challenger circuit and and against the other players around the world, but it just hasn't been able to go that way. So we are looking at some seriously good tennis players here, but again, it's hard to match them up against the rest of the world because we're kind of isolated, aren't we? We're just in a little bubble over here in WA.
And who works with Dan Downey, do you know?
I think he does a lot on his own now. So
he's the younger brother?
Yeah, Dan's the younger brother. Alex is the older one, and yeah, they're kind of working together, and Dan's also mentoring a number of younger players himself, so he works with a group of younger players and helps them along, and he's also training for himself. So
he's a great athlete. He just loves someone to take hold of him and get him to develop that all-court game a bit more, because I think he's got everything that he needs. We saw some pieces of that when he was moving and transitioning towards the net. He looked very, very comfortable, very competent. You'd like to see a bit more of that. So we got Kehan and Bacon hitting as well, warming up. Both left-handers, so we got a left-handed pair.
So as we switch over to court number 2, looking at the Cottesloe pairing, Adam Kehan and Brenton Bacon warming up. Yeah, as you said, both left-handers. Lefties. So this will be an interesting combination.
And the whole setup of where the left-hander plays on court's changed, hasn't it? I remember when I was playing, the left-hander traditionally went on the backhand side. Yeah. You would have known that from when you were playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And now they play the left-hand on the forehand side a lot more. So you've got forehands through the middle of the court now.
Yeah. Look, it has changed a bit, but I think it really comes down to the individual pairing, doesn't it? Your combinations working together, what works best as a combination.
Yeah, and I think also I found when I was playing that I always had a lot more trouble turning the right-hander serve if he had a big breaking serve. Because if you're playing in the forehand court as left-hander, he's hitting a big breaking serve to your backhand, and not having a two-handed backhand made it pretty difficult to get any speed on the ball when you're out wide. So you really only had a short chip across court or a lob down the line on a great serve, and I always found that really, really hard. Yeah,
I agree. Being a lefty, we're both lefties, aren't we, Shane?
Yeah, we are. Yep.
I totally agree with you there.
Whereas they couldn't hurt you on the backhand court.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you'd have the backhand court covered. So sometimes it's a matter of just working out your opponent as well. Have they got that good slice serve that can push you out wide as well? So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. We've got also Will Hann sitting on the side of the court, another left-hander. So the predominantly left-handed team out here at Cottesloe.
And we'll just welcome Brett Patten back to the box. He's been fulfilling his role as the CEO of Tennis West. Welcome back, Brett.
Shane Smedley, thank you. Former world over 50 doubles runner-up, one of the great players of WA tennis for many, many years. It's been an interesting day here at Alexander Park Tennis Club. Rhys MacDougall, captain of, well, not only the captain, but the coach of Mount Lawley Tennis Club, captain of the Mount Lawley Tennis Club State League. Brenton Bacon, this is an interesting one. We've got him on screen at the moment, hitting up with Kehan, and he used to train and coach John Peers, and it was part of John Peers' successful campaign at the Australian Open a few years ago when he won the doubles.
Exactly, yeah, he was part of the entourage, wasn't he? He was there.
Yep.
John Peers and
Henry Continent.
Henry Continent,
from Finland.
he's a Finnish guy.
He's a huge star in Finland. He's Henry Continent, and Brenton Baker, one of the flamboyant players, left-hander, very good player. Went to Christchurch. I think he went to Florida State at college in the US for many years, and enjoying his time out here playing for Cottesloe. Was with Kings Park in the last couple of seasons and moved across to Cottesloe.
Yeah, I think was it a mid-season transfer almost, wasn't it?
It was almost a mid-season transfer. You're right.
So we'll see how he goes here. I mean, I think it's really beefed up the doubles side of things for Cottesloe as well, because the singles side is quite strong, and it's just added that extra strength for the doubles. Definitely having Brenton on board there. But yeah, you're right. He spent some time with John Peers and Henry Continent. I know he went to Melbourne and travelled the year they won the Australian. Did they win the Australian Open doubles? Yeah, they won the Australian Open doubles that year, and Brenton was part of that team and on the coaching staff and working with those guys. So that was a great experience for Brenton. So you can see the calibre of players that we have here that. Kind of matching it with the world's best in one way or another.
Indeed, as we're watching just here, waiting for the doubles to commence. Cottesloe in control here of this round 10 State League 1 versus 3. Warm conditions out here at Alexander Park. Sweaty conditions, thirsty conditions, in fact. Rhys MacDougall.
It is, yeah. I've got a little bit of a sweat up myself here, just sitting in this commentary box. The breeze is still blowing across there, but yeah, it's still warm. There's no doubt about that. I'm probably sitting around 36 degrees, so it's cooled down a tiny bit. But the players, as we said, now acclimatised to those conditions and all to play for it, 2-2. Brett, what are your thoughts? Who do you think's favourites here to win the doubles and to win the tie from here at 2-2?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for me right now, I think the favouritism will go to the Cottesloe team. I mean, Brenton Bacon's a terrific doubles player and has showed tremendous form throughout the season. And I think he's matching up with Kehan here will certainly enhance and bolster Cottesloe's chance of winning today's tie. I mean, we saw some good results there. Top court, Scotty Jones keeping his unbeaten record alive against Dan Downey, but we also saw Max Weir, who's also undefeated this year, playing at number 3 and number 4 for Cottesloe. He won in 3 very tight sets against Michael Faulkner. And I think that's the key for State League. It's the depth. You can have the best player in the state, Rhys, but it's about having that and maintaining that depth and getting the wins at 3 and 4. I think goes a long way, and making sure you've got good doubles combinations to assist winning on the day. But I like the look of Cottesloe. I think Brenton Bacon adds a lot of flair. He adds a lot of experience, and I think they're favoured going into this particular tie, and certainly on the second court for Cottesloe Tennis Club.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think, like you said, Max has done unbelievably well, hasn't he? This term, he's kind of come this season. He's come from nowhere. He's undefeated in singles. I know I had a close match with Max, and he just came up big at the big moments, and he's a big, tall guy. He came up with the serves, he came up with the shots when he needed to, and credit to him. It's great to see these young guys coming through, and he's certainly one of these guys. So, surprisingly, he hasn't played too many tournaments around Perth, which is quite interesting. He's just focusing on the State League matches, and it'd be interesting to see where he goes from there. I'll
be interested to hear your thoughts on Max. We're tall athlete, 6'4" in the old scale, big first serve, big forehand. I mean, you've a very good player on the grass courts. You like to swing that left-handed serve out wide. You close the net, good hands around the net. I mean, where was the gap between you and Max on that day? Was it played on grass or was it played on hard?
So, yeah, we did play. We played on grass. We played at Cottesloe on their home ground, and it was, he got me 6-4, 7-6, so it was very close, but, yeah, look, there wasn't a lot in it. He just managed to come up with the big points. So I felt like I played a really good second set in particular. I had some pressure on him. I probably didn't call one ball that I should have called, which could have maybe changed the whole outcome of that second set, but to his credit, he just kept coming up with the goods when he needed to come up with the goods. I felt like I was in front for the second set, and he just seemed to just keep coming. And I was kind of expecting him to go away, but he didn't go away. And I love seeing that from the young guys, because quite often, as you know, Brett, you play these younger guys and they can sometimes just fade away or disappear, but to his credit, he just kept coming, and he put his best foot forward at every moment that he needed to.
Absolutely. We've got Jerome Iaconi joining us in the commentary booth. We might have a quick word with Jerome, just talking about his match today. We might just flick across there. You can see on camera now, myself, Rhys MacDougall, the coach of Mount Lawley Tennis Club, and of course Jerome in the middle. I mean, you had your chances today to close out that first set, Jerome. Wonderful effort. Good to see you back to some great form, and won the first set 7-6 after holding a 5-2 lead, and then closing out the second set. I mean, what's your synopsis of today's match against a very good opponent in Will Hann?
Well, it was good to... I was surprised how good I came out of the blocks despite that 1.5 hour delay. Mm-hmm. So happy with that, and just happy I stayed positive in those crucial times and somehow clinched that first set. And then, the forehand got a bit more penetration on it in that second set, so which is good to see the fitness paying off and all that. So
we've been talking about your forehand and the stroke production. I know you've been working with Rhys at Mount Lawley around changing your forehand, particularly giving yourself more loop on the forehand. Do you think that sort of paid dividends today against a big hitter in Will? I mean, your game is very, if anyone doesn't know, your game's very similar to Andy Murray, straight back, straight through, but giving yourself more loop, give yourself a bit more opportunity to sort of get more leverage and power. Do you think that made a big difference today, particularly on that forehand wing?
Definitely, for sure. Even in that first set, made a few errors, which you got to expect when you're learning something new. But said to myself, just keep swinging, and the boys put on a good performance in in general, despite the 2-year anniversary of Kent. So we all wore the black armbands today, which was, I think, motivated us a little bit.
And that's a great point you raised. Kent Yamazaki, and pay our respect to Tomio and Kimmy and the family, the Bob Brett and Kent Yamazaki Foundation. It's a wonderful foundation for a terrific young fella in Kent Yamazaki who did pass away 2 years today, and it was wonderful to see Alexander Park pay tribute to Ken. He was part of the State League team, he was part of the club, and again passed away in unfortunate circumstances in Nepal, and we certainly remember, and his legacy will live on, you know, for many, many more years to come, certainly with Tomio and the foundation and Kimmy, and we want to pay respects to Kent Yamazaki, who was a wonderful young lad and a big part of the Pizzy Cup team, big part of Applecross Senior High School, and a big part of the WA fraternity as far as culture is concerned.
Exactly.
So your match today, you're not playing doubles, or you're going to get on the doubles court very soon?
Yeah, get out on the doubles court and channel my inner Brett Patten. So.
Well, don't channel too hard. Those
Rhys
days are long
MacDougall.
gone. Certainly Rhys MacDougall is to channel, but looking forward to this. I mean, you're playing against Brenton Bacon, you're playing against Adam Kehan. I mean, Brenton Bacon, as we made mention only moments ago, he was part of the Henry Continent and Johnny Pierre's team that won the Australian Open a few years ago. Terrific doubles player. I mean, he's got a left-handed swinging serve. He's very flary, he's very artistic. What do you got to do today, do you think, to get over the top of Kehan and Brenton Bacon from Cottesloe?
Well, I think me and Luca, it's our first time playing together, so we've got nothing to lose. We'll go out there and we'll give it to him.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jerome. Good luck.
Cool.
Get on to court.
Thanks,
We're looking
boys.
forward to watching a very competitive match as he hands back to Rhys MacDougall. Jerome
Well done,
Iaconi.
Jerome. Congratulations.
One of your
mate.
proteges, and you've done a lot of work with Jerome Iaconi over the many years, and certainly with his sister Chanel Iaconi, who's had a lot of offers from American College on the back of what has been a tremendous junior career. She only weeks ago won your tournament at Mount Lawley, the WA State Grass Court Championships, coming from a 5-love deficit against Sinja Vujacic, and showed her class and medal in that, and we couldn't get a chance to watch her today because of the heat rule. But I mean, what can you tell us about Jerome and Chanel Iaconi? Terrific siblings.
Yeah, look, great family. These guys are working really hard. I mean, unfortunately we weren't able to see Chanel today, so Chanel actually is entered in the ITF, which is a WTA event in Canberra, a $25,000 Challenger, is that what they call them in
ITF Challenger event?
ITF Challenger. She's currently sitting number 4 on the alternates list, and she's worked her way up, so she's literally 4 places out of getting into the qualifying. There's 2 more places, so we think she's kind of sitting 2 places out. Look, if we talk about Chanel, she played Madison Inglis, who managed to get to the 4th round of the Australian Open. She took a set off Madison Inglis, having going through school and not really training that hard. So Chanel's a unbelievable talent, and I've got a lot of time for Chanel. She's worked really hard, and I wish her all the best. And I hope she manages to get into this WTA event, and it'll be interesting to see how she goes.
Just watching the hit-up, the ritual between Cottesloe and Alexander Park here on the top court. The Downey brothers, Alex and Dan Downey. Very good doubles combination in the WA State League competition, proudly sponsored by the Goods Property Services, up against a really solid pair in Will Hann and Scotty Jones on the top court. If we go back to Chanel Iaconi just for a moment, I mean, as I mentioned, she won the WA State Grass Court Championships. A tremendous talented kid, good talented family. She's just been accepted into UWA doing her university course. She's got a lot of Ivy League colleges looking to bring her on and go to the US and go under a nice tennis program there, but she's sort of just weighing her options up at the moment, Rhys.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think again, we talked about these border closures. It's just paid a big part on players, specifically coming from Western Australia. It's a long way away, so there's a group of players that have taken that plunge and they've decided to go away and play, and knowing full well that they can't. If they do come back, it's a 2-week quarantine. She's in that position now where she needs to make that decision, and I think she's really ready to do that, and I'm really hopeful that she gets that position, because she's a good enough player. Obviously, the American college system is fantastic, and that is definitely an opportunity for her, but she wants to bypass that. She wants to get straight into playing WTA events, and I guess it's probably spurred on a little bit from the results of the US Open last year with the women's. How we saw 2 players just come from nowhere, and she's I feel like she's one of those talents that could potentially do that, and she's obviously got a lot to work on and to improve. But when you see those results, it actually gives you a bit of impotence to go forward, doesn't it?
Well, it's interesting you could say that. We saw Maddie Inglis defeat Leila Fernandez in the first round of the Australian Open this year, and that gave her a lot of confidence to get through to that third round. Unfortunately, lost to Kai Kanepi, who in Kanai pushed the limits really throughout going deep into this Australian summer of tennis. So having those wins early, knowing that if you look at Madison Inglis and knowing that Chanel Iaconi has pushed Madison in State League before, knowing that Madison is now sitting inside that top 106 player in the world, she collected a cheque of $250,000 just by getting through to that third round of the Australian Open this year, making a second round appearance in doubles. That's got to boost the young ladies in this country to know that their contemporaries, their State League counterparts, their Australian icons are actually making inroads on the world stage. That's got to give them a boost.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's it's a credit to just the league here, the state league competition in Western Australia as well. I mean, the level is really high. It sets the bar for the rest of Australia. There's some unbelievable competition here with some world ranked players playing. Chanel hasn't got a world ranking now, but she's absolutely capable of a world ranking, and I'm sure she'll show that within the next 6 months, 8 months. And yeah, look, it does. I'm working a lot with Chanel as well, and on a daily basis I use that as inspiration for her. I want her to believe. She needs to know that and she does. She's starting to understand that. She knows that she's a player that could break through really quickly, and I really look forward to seeing how she goes.
Is there a difference between the developmental stages of a male athlete and a female athlete? We seem to see traditionally females break on to the tour a lot earlier from a maturity perspective, from a game perspective. The males now seems to be, if you look at the top 100 in the world, the average age of the top 100 is blown out, and we've seen the greats of this game. If you look at Rafa Nadal and Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer, I mean, Roger Federer turned 40, Rafa Nadal's 35 in the final of Australian Open for the, I think, 4th or 5th time. Novak Djokovic, number one player in the world, he's 33, 34 years of age. And traditionally, we've always seen the female athletes come on a lot younger. I mean, are you seeing that with the young athletes coming out of WA? They seem to develop a lot quicker. And if we look at Chanel Iaconi compared to her brother Jerome, is she developed a lot quicker in comparison to the women's game?
Yeah, I just think you have that possible slight advantage for the women. There's the top women player doesn't seem to go as deep as the top men's players. There's no disrespect to the women, but there just happens to be a lot more men playing tennis, so it makes that field so much bigger and deeper. With the women, there's still a big pool, but the pool's not anywhere near as big as what it is for the men. So just from a numbers game, you're already have an advantage in that position. And if you're a good enough player, then you can capitalise on that as well. And we've seen a couple of other Western Australian females, Taylor Preston and Talia Gibson, Astra Sharma, Madison Inglis, as we talked about. Lily Fairclough coming through. So there's a good crop of young Western Australian females coming through, and Chanel, I definitely put her in that pool of players, and we wish all the players the best.
Looking at the number 2 doubles on court number 2 at Alexander Park, closer to the camera, Brenton Bacon and Adam Kehan from Cottesloe Tennis Club up against Jerome Iaconi and Luca Katsumakis. This is going to be a very entertaining doubles match out here. We've spoken a lot about Brenton Bacon and his pedigree, and one of the better doubles players, singles players throughout the 2010s through to 2020. He's coached John Peers to a Australian Open doubles title alongside Henri Continent from Finland. Big stars, obviously, Henri Continent in Finland, and can't walk down the street, Rhys, a bit like you and Mount Law. They can't go anywhere without being recognised, and looking forward to what is going to be a very entertaining doubles. We'll be seeing Jerome Iaconi just go through his motions at the moment. And Ash Barty, this will be on delayed telecast. Ash Barty is about to start her singles, and of course we're looking forward to Matty Ebden and Max Purcell up against the Super Ks over the coming evening. I hope you're enjoying this broadcast, brought to you by Scotty's Media. Scotty Walsh has done a wonderful job in presenting the best of the best here in WA State League Tennis.
So quick update, actually, just looking at the scores, that match is Ash Barty and Danielle Collins is underway, and 2-all advantage Ash Barty on serve. So
what can you tell us a little bit about Danielle Collins? I mean, she has nothing to lose in this final. I mean, all the pressure is on Ash Barty, #1 player in the world, current Wimbledon champion. Terrific opportunity for her to be the first Australian woman since I think it's Chris Evans, was it? Back in 40 odd years ago to win an Australian title. And is the weight of expectation too much for Ash Barty?
Well, I really hope not, and I don't think she plays it that way either. I think mentally she's going about it as another match, but of course it's there. Of course it's going to be in the back of her mind. The beauty of it is for Ash is she has won a Grand Slam, so she does know how to deal with this pressure. She knows what she's got to do. She's a clear favourite here, but all credit to Danielle Collins as well. I thought she played a monstrous game in the semi-finals. I thought Iga Swiatek might have been the one that was going to be the one that was going to trouble Ash in the final. But so you can't write off Danielle Collins, and it'll be an interesting match. But Ash is going to be there.
So we switch across to the top court, the #1 court. Scotty Jones, Will Hann serving from the northern part of the court, furthest from the camera, up against the Downey brothers, who've been highly successful in the Goods Property Services State League competition over the last couple of seasons. I'll ask you a pointed question around tactics in a moment. Beautiful big serve, swinging serve there from Willie Hann. If you were Danielle's coach today against Ash Barty, knowing the way Ash plays, loves the big kick serve, big heavy forehand, loves to control points from the back of the court with a slice, and you know the way Danielle plays. I mean, how do you coach Danielle to defeat and give her a game plan against Ash Barty?
Yeah, I think she's got to bring a big game today. I think she's really got to come out firing and hit the ball hard, hit the ball deep. I think depth of shot is actually going to be the important thing for her. If she gets the ball deep enough, it makes it a little bit harder for Ash to concentrate on that. To effectively use that slice shot as well. So I think depth of shot is going to be really important for her. Play big, attacking, and try and hit the ball deep.
Nice sliding serve from Luca Katsumakis, playing alongside Jerome Iaconi against Adam Kehan and Brenton from Cottesloe. It's an interesting matchup tonight. Looking forward to the women's final. Ash Barty of All Australia got a collective fingers crossed, legs crossed. Get our first Australian singles female winner for some time. Lovely cut-off volley there by Adam Kehan. Very accomplished around the net. And then, of course, the doubles between Maddie Ebden and Max Purcell against Tanasi Kokkinakis and Nick Kyrgios following the women's final. I mean, it's interesting, though. We haven't had... Ash Barty's dominated this year. #1 player in the last 3 years as Lucas serves. Lovely cut-off.
See Jerome
won a Wimbledon final, won a French Open. There hasn't been an Australian winner at the Australian Open since Mark Edmondson way back in the late 70s when it was 2 Australians in the final. We saw, of course, Paddy Rafter win 97-98 US Open, Leighton Hewitt win. Good hands, overplaying. Leighton Hewitt winning Wimbledon and the US Open 2000, 2001. But what is it you think that's holding Australians back from winning their own tournament race?
Yeah, well, interesting comment, isn't it? I think obviously there's that homegrown pressure as well, isn't there? But I just believe the class of players that it's not easy. You think back to Tim Henman in the Wimbledon days. He was touted as good enough to win a Wimbledon. Unfortunately, the guy kind of got to the semi-finals, perennial semi-finalist, quarter-finalist. He was a great player, but he just wasn't able to win a Grand Slam. It's just a testament to the depth of the competition out there.
Seeing Dan Downey serving, getting the hand signals from his brother Alex. And Will Hann returning from Cottesloe. You can see the hands from the Downey brothers around the net. Understand each other's game incredibly well for Alexander Park. Over the many years, the last time Australian won the men's singles at the Australian Open was Mark Edmondson, defeated Johnny Newcombe. I mean, has the competition just become more global? There's more countries playing, there's more athletes out there playing. Australia is almost like, well, if I don't make it in tennis, I'm actually okay. I don't need to make it in tennis. There's not that need, there's not that killer instinct.
Yeah.
Rhys MacDougall.
Yeah, absolutely. And a great return there from Scotty Jones there down the line off the first serve. No, I agree with you. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? The depth and the depth of countries and people trying to make a living out of tennis is absolutely huge these days, isn't it? You know, the global sport that it is has brought these players that are desperate to win.
Oh, and there's the breaker serve for the Cottesloe duo of Will Hann and Scotty Jones. You can see what that meant to them, the nice little fist pump, getting them off to a nice lead of 2-0 in this opening set of the #1 doubles. It is interesting, I think, since Australia dominated back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you know, the depth of talent across the world, the ability for all countries now to get access to tennis court, tennis rackets, has been simply remarkable, and that's why we're seeing the likes of the Europeans really dominate, where once upon a time it was Australia or the US dominate in the male and the female ranks of tennis. Now we're seeing Spain dominate, we're seeing France dominate, we're seeing, you know, Croatia, Slovakia, Serbia, Switzerland. It seems to be those European countries that are really taking it up to the rest of the world, Rhys.
Yeah, it certainly does, that's for sure. But I mean, it's a bit of a resurgence, isn't it? This year now, the Australian Open, obviously we've got one you know, world #1 in Ash Barty in the women's singles final. We've got 4 Australian male players in the men's doubles final. We've got 2 Australians in the mixed doubles final. So
of course,
maybe
Dylan Alcock as well.
Dylan Alcock, absolutely, in the final as well. So I mean, it's been a huge tournament for Australians, and you know, let's see. Maybe this is the turning of the tide again, and sometimes it does take tournaments like this to really push players and grow that rising swell of players to keep pushing forward. So hopefully that bears us well for the French Open and Wimbledon and US Open for the rest of the year.
Overplaying that forehand, Alex Downey to the big kicking serve of Scotty Jones. It's interesting, we've got the way that the Grand Slams play out. Australia, first Grand Slam of the year, followed by the French, followed by Wimbledon, followed by the US. And traditionally, Australians like to play on the quicker surface, whether it's grass or hard court, as we've seen Scotty Jones serve to Dan Downey. Beautiful swinging serve there from the #1 Cottesloe player. We're not going to see a lot of success on the clay court, the French. I mean, in fact, I think Pat Rafter got through to a semi-final way back in, might have been 99 or 2000 at Roland Garros, but we haven't had a lot of success on the clay courts for many years.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Look, we don't have that. We don't seem to have that grassroots system of clay courts, unfortunately, in Australia. I know in WA we have, what do we have, about 6 clay courts in WA that you know,
UWA Tennis Club?
UWA Tennis Club, which they do a great job out there looking after them as best they can, but you know, it's not even the same surface in theory. You know, it's a clay court.
It's a different clay.
It's a different clay, exactly. So the Europeans and the Americans as well just seem to have that that advantage and the production line, because they've grown up on that surface. So for a lot of Australia, any clay courts, even in
beautiful
in the eastern states of Australia as well, they tend to play a whole lot different to the European clay and the American clay as well.
As we see Dan Downey put away a nice backhand volley there against the Cottesloe duo. Scotty Jones serving up an early break in this first set, leading. This is the I formation. Will Hann bobbing down. Beautiful swinging serve down the middle, just missing. I formation. The number of different formations out there on the doubles court. You can hear the crowd really fire up. Scotty Jones serving, Cottesloe. Overplaying that low forehand, you can see disgusted with that, throwing the racket across as we cut back to court #2. The doubles compared to singles, we see a lot of doubles specialists nowadays playing the game, not too worried about playing singles, as we see Jerome Iaconi or Lucas Katsumakis just dropping that high forehand into the net. Is there a different skill set between singles and doubles?
Well, yeah, absolutely. There's you know, that ability around the net is crucial, isn't it, in double? So you've got to done the legwork, I guess, growing up and on the practice court, just getting comfortable at the net. If you're not comfortable at the net, then doubles is a different game, isn't it, for you? So it does really show.
If you don't mind. Sorry to interrupt you there, Rhys, but that was an exceptional forehand down the line to break serve or Iaconi. again, that was the flair that we talk about with Brenton Bacon, left-hander through the net post.
Beautiful to see, isn't it? He did see the little space there. Luca gave him a little gap and tempted him, and he was able to hit the target. So
No one likes the limelight more than Brenton Bacon. I mean, just ask him. I mean, he doesn't mind stepping up and having a word. He's plenty of ideas coming out of Brenton Bacon. He's been a tremendous asset to WA Tennis for many, many years, and still coaching nowadays.
No,
He loves telling you how good he is as well.
No, I'm a big fan of Brenton. I love Brenton. Last time I saw him actually was out at the Ascot Racecourse. He enjoys his horse races and
in the mounting yard, was he?
No, he was near the mounting yard, not quite in the mounting yard. And
he'd be in there telling the jockeys how to do their job. And that's
possibly
the Brenton Bacon. We know. Never rode a horse in his life, but he'll tell the jockeys how to ride.
He's put the signal out here for the T serve.
A little long. There's a bit of debate. Brenton doesn't like that call. Jerome said it was a little long. Said it was about a foot long.
Going down the tee again.
Down the tee. The hand signals. We'll go through the hand signals in a moment. There's a double fault. The hand signals, we see a lot of it on TV nowadays. They zoom in on the net player, giving instruction to the server. I mean, I've seen a couple there. There's a sort of a duck motion, a quacking motion. What is that?
Yeah, well, that's normally the fake in. So there's a few calls, and one of them is the fake. So pretend to cross but not cross. So a lot of movement from the net player and trying to put the pressure on the returner, thinking that you're going to cross but you're not going to cross. So generally there's three calls. One is stay, one is fake, and that's the quack one, and one is to cross and get across the other side of the court. So
Hann serving closest to the camera from Cottesloe. And of course, you're also giving instruction to your opponent or your partner as to where they should be serving, Rhys?
Yeah, absolutely. So normally there's two signals. Interestingly, today...
Beautiful hands. Great handwork there by both Cottesloe players at the net. You can see the experience of Brenton Bacon really just dictating close to the net. That's where he likes to be, up close to the net, just dictating points.
Yeah, he won't miss too many of those volleys. Interesting with his hand signals here, he's just kind of doing the one signal, isn't it, just for the serve. He's obviously just verbalised that last call, so we'll see where this one goes.
Lovely touch again. Understands the grass court, understands the value of the short ball in doubles, Brenton Bacon. Again, just giving instructions to Kehan, serving left-handed, closer to the camera from Cottesloe. Using the old Dunlop volley shoes.
It's old school.
Play. That is old school. We don't see the Dunlop volley because that used to be a well-recognised shoe on the tour back in yesteryear, but there's not a lot of cushioning in those Dunlop volleys anymore.
No,
Rhys MacDougall?
No, there's not. I mean, Adam's young enough. It appears that he's able to cope with it. The pressure on the knees and the calves and the hips and all the way through. I know I've played a couple of matches in the Dunlop volleys years ago. And
Grass or hard?
No, it was on grass. Actually, it was on synthetic grass, which is not ideal, but very slippery. They're a great shoe for grip, but just with no cushioning at all. It's whether your body can withstand the pressure.
They're almost like an Australian icon alongside the kangaroo and the koala and the meat pie. I mean, it's just such an institution in Australian tennis. The volley, no cushion, the herringbone grip on the grass.
Great to see. Great to see.
She slips over.
Slips over. Maybe Brenton needs the volleys.
Oh, if you don't mind, good hands at the net there. You can see both the Cottesloe duo up and about. Just enjoying this doubles, these two. Played a lot of good doubles together.
Yeah, the two left-handed players combining well, aren't they? It's not often you see two left-handed players on the court together.
Some of the great doubles duos of all time, the McNamaras, McNamee, you saw the Woodbridge and Woodford, the Bryan brothers. Really, has there been a left-handed duo that have dominated?
No, I don't think I can't recall a left-handed duo.
Mark Woodford was left-handed. Good hands, beautiful hands again from Brenton Bacon. You look out for Brenton's Twitters tonight, the Facebook posts. If that's not going to show you some of the great hands, he'll be talking it up all evening.
He's a big Twitter player.
Doesn't mind getting onto Facebook every now and then. Yeah, lovely touch. Beautiful hands
Oh,
and not
great
running
hands,
it down.
Luca, yeah.
Kehan, he called yours. Bacon, being in his twilight of his 30s, said, I'm not going to run that down, young fella. That's yours to chase. If it goes over your head, you chase it down. And
That's right.
Adam Kehan wasn't willing to do the hard work.
Well played from Luca. Luca's one of those players as well. He's got unbelievable hands, Luca. He's really difficult to read as well, Luca.
He's not a big hitter of the ball, but he's got beautiful touch around the court.
No, and
Oh, overplayed that forehand high volley. Was it a high volley, low volley, or mid volley? He just seemed to get all tangled up.
Talking about volleys, he probably needed a pair of Dunlop volleys there. Might have helped him out with that grip on the.
So he switched across to the top court. Will Hann serving from Cottesloe, closing in and just putting that overhead away just nicely. Currently on serve, 2 games apiece, as it is on the bottom court between Adam Kehan, Brenton Bacon, Luca Katsumakis and Jerome Iaconi.
So a lot to play for here. Two rubbers all. Third versus first. Cottesloe first.
What's the importance of a home grand final? Because they are playing for positions. It's 14 rounds. If you were to find yourself in the number 1 and 2 position, you will host a semi-final at your home club. How important is it to host a grand final in front of your fans, in front of your club, Rhys?
Yeah, look, I think it's a huge advantage, especially for Alexander Park. Now it's really interesting today, being so hot. I think there's a lot of spectators that would normally come to Alexander Park and support their home team, but just with the weather being unbelievably hot, it seems as though the crowd is actually probably the smallest I've seen. They normally have a very parochial crowd. That may grow, knowing that it's 2-all. The messages and the tweets might have gone out.
I think the Ash Barty match might hold a few back as
They
well.
could have it
It's
one or
holding
two.
all of Australian indoors at the moment.
Yeah.
As we've seen Will Hann ready to serve to Alex Downey. Beautiful swinging serve. Yeah, if you don't mind. I mean, that left-handed serve on the doubles court out to the backhand, the advantage court is a significant advantage. And that's why the left-handers in doubles, the John McEnroes, the Mark Woodfords, I think the right-handed, left-handed partnership has worked so well over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got that lefty swinger serve from one side, and then you got the righty swinger from the other side. So you can utilise that swinging serve from both sides if you've got that left-hand, right-hand combination.
Brenton Bacon serving. Katsumakis. Beautiful hands. You can hear the crowd just go up as one. Just that loose, late hold of that low volley just shows you, I mean, the beautiful hands of Brenton Bacon.
Yeah, it's quality volley, wasn't it? It was down low. He managed to hit the target, get it up over the net and hit the spot. So perfect volley.
What I'm noticing out here is no Max Weir, no Sam English. They played the singles specialists. Maxie Weir going through again, undefeated. He's had a wonderful and a quality season in the Men's State League so far. Just opting out of the doubles, obviously injecting Adam Kehan and Brenton Bacon in.
Yeah, so 6 players utilised for this rubber for Cottesloe, and
you know what? I love that play from Adam Katsumakis. I mean, he was just beautifully balanced. He put the ball low at the feet of the 2 net players. Unfortunately, Jerome Iaconi couldn't come up with a miracle shot around the net, as we saw Brenton Bacon a few games ago.
yeah, and Adam, when he plays his singles, he loves to come to the net. He loves serve volleying, so he's pretty accomplished at the net. Adam's got good hands, volleys well. He'll feel pretty comfortable here in this doubles at the net.
Jerome Iaconi serving. Beautiful. Was that a miss hit?
Yeah,
or was
missed
that a
it,
designed lob? Aggressive.
I think just slight miss hit there and made it hard, didn't it, for Luca at the net to either play the volley or leave the volley.
Witnessing Cottesloe Tennis Club, number 1 team in the Goods Property Service State League competition, up against the 3rd rated Alexander Park.
Come on. Great shot.
the change of ends as we skip across to court number 1. Scotty Jones, beautiful high forehand volley. Currently leading 3 games to 2. Change of ends on the previous court. Brenton Bacon and Adam Kehan. Fabulous doubles out here. Great exhibition. I mean, Australians always played really good doubles. It's an art, it's a craft. And, you know, I'm very surprised with the fact that Nick Kyrgios and Thanasi Kokkinakis, traditionally singles players, are actually in the final of the doubles. Their brand that they bring to the court is really singles. Big first serve, big forehand, no real court craft, but they've got away with it.
Yeah, look, I think a perfect storm, wasn't it? It was both players out early in the singles draw, both good friends, both wanting to go deep in the tournament, and you know, just the fact that they were able to play together, enjoy their company, didn't have to concentrate on the singles, brought the best out of it.
Top court, which change of ends. As we welcome back into the commentary booth, Shane Smedley's been just enjoying the hospitality that's being shown by Alexander Park Tennis Club for the last hour. Hope you're enjoying what you're seeing here. The Goods Property Service State League competition. Adam Kehan serving, left-handed. Brenton Bacon, overhead smash. 2 lefties as we welcome one of the famous lefties from WA Tennis. Lefty Westy. Shane Smedley, over 50s. World doubles runner-up. What have you enjoyed about particularly the left-handers on this bottom court, Adam Kehan and Brenton Bacon?
Yeah, it's great. I'm really enjoying it. I think certainly the Cottesloe doubles pairs are more credentialed. So I think the odds are in the favour of Cottesloe. Putting both pairs on the park are very strong. We've seen Kehan and Bacon play before. Look very good. Again, quite a novelty with 2 lefties.
I'll ask you a question post this point, Shane Smedley.
Please do, Brett.
Second serve. The left-handers combination. I mean, you've played a lot of your tennis with a good mate of yours and a very good doubles player. He's a left-hander as well. You've won a number of Australian championships, lost the final of the World Championships left-handed. Does the left-handed combination, do you think there's more advantage in the left-handers playing a right-handed combination? A little dip serve there from Lucas Katsumakis. I'd be interested to take your feedback on what you think about a left-handed versus a right-handed combination, or a left-handed right-handed combination.
Yeah, Rhys and I will just wait for this serve from Adam. I think the big thing is, whilst there are a lot more lefties around than ever were before, it's still quite unique to play a lefty. And certainly to play 2 lefties is really unique, as we're seeing with these 2 boys out here. And we're a lefty doubles pair. But the biggest issue had being 2 left-handers was who was going to play the forehand court. The forehand court was a killer if you had a guy who could break a serve out wide to the forehand court.
Hann serving, Cottesloe, swinging wide. The uniqueness of a right-hander, left-hander combination for many years has been the Bryan brothers, McEnroe Fleming.
Woodbridge Woodford.
Beautiful hands there, great pick-up. Oh, that is intelligent play. Oh, if you don't mind, he's just missed. Oh, Lucas Katsumakis just bending down in agony there. That was a wonderful point.
What a great leave by Bacon. What a judgment there, wasn't it?
Do you think it was a judgment, or was it just by the fact that he couldn't reach it? But is it a left-handed, right-handed combination? Do you think that's probably, from a doubles perspective, that's probably the combination that has been the most successful, the most difficult to play against?
Yeah, I agree, it is.
Overplaying that forehand.
I mean,
you see Adam Kehan really enjoyed that. Up 5 games to 3 in this first set.
I think the advantage of a left and right hander is that you can typically the left hander's always played the backhand court and the right hander's always played the forehand court.
Yep.
We've seen a change recently, but it allows you to be able to cover the wide serves. But now you're seeing the left hander play the forehand court, and what that does is that puts forehands in the middle of the court. So you're attacking off a forehand, which you're seeing a lot more now.
Katsumakis serving. And just didn't move the feet there, Kehan.
Always loved the two lefties together because the players at the other end were seeing different shots and different angles they never get used to before. But that's okay, Brett. You've only been calling him that all day.
Katsumakis, I've been corrected by a producer and director, Scotty Walsh from Scotty Walsh's Media. Wonderful production he's putting on here for the best part of 10 rounds for the Goods Property Services Men's and Women's State League competition.
Sounds like there's lightning in the background there.
Katsumakis, Lucas, one of the, and I'm sure he'd be on the bandwagon of Stefanos Tsitsipas.
Oh, fellow Greek boys. There's a talent, isn't it? Love watching Tsitsipas play. I love the fact that he can play. He plays all court. He's got a lovely single-handed backhand, which we're seeing a few more players play a single-handed backhand now, which is great.
Good hands there from Brenton Bacon. To that point, Shane, the double-hander v the single-hander. Do you think the double-hander has overtaken the single-hander because coaches have made a preference to teach a double-hander rather than a single-hander?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear what Rhys has to say about it. Obviously, being a coach in the high-performance space, but I think as players start out in their junior careers, they often lack the strength to be able to single-handed backhand, so they all start off with two-handed backhands, and then they keep on hitting a two-handed backhand right through the formative years, so that sort of pretty much that's all they know. The problem with a single-handed backhand requires a lot more strength, and there's a lot more effort into it. You look at the best two-handed backhand players. They can bump that ball, take that ball very, very early and do it and disguise it. And we know just from a local point of view how well David Cully used to do that. He used to be able to roll and flick a ball with a little flick of his two-handed backhand.
Coach at
Cottesloe Tennis Club. And I mean, I was watching Medvedev play last night, and it didn't matter what was getting thrown at him. He just seemed to have so much time on that backhand. His backhand looks stronger than his forehand. The biggest problem with a two-handed backhand is you've got to have better movement. So the athlete's got to be a better mover because you do lose reach having a two-handed across your body rather than a single-handed backhand. But I still think, you look at the Wawrinka backhand, you look at the Federer backhand, you look at the Tsitsipas backhand. I mean, I love watching a single-handed backhand.
Beautiful hands here from Brenton Bacon. Oh, nice little touch there from Jerome Iaconi wearing the yellow shades.
And of course, the other piece of that is if you're hitting a single-handed backhand, it's a lot easier to slice too. So you see a lot of the single-handed players hit slice. Having said that, you look at Barty and she hits a beautiful slice backhand with two hands. Two-handed backhand, one-handed slice.
Swinging wide serve there from Will Hann, the top court. Currently leading 4-3 in the opening set. Give some updates from the Barty match as we go along.
Started, hasn't it? The men who have played across the front courts today, the one I've been most impressed with, who do you think that would be? Have a guess.
Well, if I was to take a guess, and I do guess quite often around my anything to do with tennis, I would suggest that you've been very impressed with Downey.
Oh, how good are you? How good are you? Very impressed with Downey. I think he's probably at about 60-70% of his potential. I like the fact that he's an awesome athlete. He has a great all-court game, and I think, the only reason he lost that, only reason I believe he lost that second set is what he did to get back into that second set against Scott Jones. He gave it away when it got really, really tight. He went back to what he knew, and I think that he's got a potential for a super all-court game, particularly suited to grass really well.
Interesting to note the updates from this Ash Barty final, the Australian Open. Won the first set 6-3 and is currently trailing 3-0 against Danielle Collins.
Wow.
Chance to go 3-1 on serve, but she's dropped an early break there in that second set. I mean, this is really a bogey match for Ash because she knows she should be betting Danielle. It's the biggest stage in her country. Can she play unshackled tennis, free tennis, to win this title?
Yeah, and Rhys was talking about that earlier. The best players in the world play every point the same. Every point, The first point is the same as the second point, is the same as a break point, is the same to a match point. They play the same way. They had that freedom to play the same way all the time, and Barty's shown that.
Beautiful hands there from Lucas Katsumakis.
That was a strange shot from Brenton Bacon,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it was almost a drop shot early.
Yeah, he had to put away and dropped it in the middle of the box and lost the point. He'd be kicking himself for that.
Currently serving for that first set, 5-4, the Cottesloe duo of Brenton Bacon and Adam Kehan. Oh, there you can see the overhead. That has really hurt. I think this is love 43 break-back point opportunities for the Alexander Park duo. Currently, tie is all locked up at 2 rubbers apiece.
And Cottesloe have won the first set on the first court, number 1 doubles pairs.
Beautiful hands there. You can see that, the crowd, there's a little bit here going on for Cottesloe. They're all up and about. Very rarely do we see the golden triangle come across to the fair shores of North Perth.
That's Max Ware's mum there. If you're hearing the effects microphone.
Tell you what, they wouldn't have that on the GPS, North Perth from Cottesloe, I can tell you that.
Oh, it's
beautiful, if you don't mind. And the roar goes up with the Cottesloe contingent here, winning that first set 6-4. Cottesloe leading on both doubles, 6-4 on the second court with Adam Kehan and Brenton Bacon, and 6-3 with Scotty Jones and Will Hann. So as it currently stands, Cottesloe got their nose in front of this 1v3 on the Goods Property Service State League competition. Big clash here at Alexander Park in Manoora.
Yeah, I think that Alexander Park would have taken a 2-2. In the wildest dreams, they wouldn't have thought they would have been any better than 2-2. So they got to 2-2 after singles, which was a great position from the B in. But I was making a point off camera that I thought that the two Cottesloe Park teams are so well credentialed, aren't they? And so well drilled. We've seen Will Hann play with Scott Jones before, 2 very, very strong doubles players. We've seen Adam Kehan play with Brenton Bacon. Both the boys came in fresh for the doubles, so they were fresh out. Didn't have to play singles, but 2 lefties, and they played great doubles together. Albeit a tight set, they've got through it. So the work's all ahead of Alexander Park. You know, more than likely you'll see Alexander Park come away with a 4-2 loss, and you expect Cottesloe to get across the line.
They play deep, Cottesloe, no question about that. Obviously, the top 4, Maxie Weir, Sammy English. We've got Brenton Bacon and Adam Kehan sliding in for the bottom 2 singles players to play specialist doubles, and it is a critical role that these 2 players have slid in here, and they've been doubles players for the best part of this season, and they've been doing tremendously well, and they find themselves winning that first set, and it is a different skill set to the singles.
Yeah, completely different, Brett. I agree with you, absolutely. It's a completely different game to play doubles, and that's why you see some of the best doubles players in the world do not survive on the singles tour. Most of the best doubles players in the world will have don't do very well in singles, and they work that out pretty quickly and leave themselves to play the doubles because they go deep into draws. You'll occasionally see a top player like you've seen Djokovic play. I know he played Rod Laver Cup, didn't he? So you'll see him play, and he'll play good doubles. But generally, the top singles players can't afford to play doubles because they're deep into the draw anyway.
Jerome Iaconi serving, start of the second set. Overplaying that backhand from Kehan. It's interesting you made mention of that. The Laver Cup is the best players in the world that have been picked for Europe and for the rest of the world. And they generally pick it on singles ranking. They don't pick any double specialists. And then when you see the likes of a Novak playing alongside a Roger or a Rafa in doubles, lovely touch there from Lucas Katsumakis. It's another skill though, isn't it? Because they instinctively want to play singles. They structure their match around and their training around playing singles, but doubles, quick hands, short points, it is a different look.
Yeah, I think the serve's pretty similar. They've always got to serve to position. All the doubles players are serving big now, but I think the big change, the big difference is someone like Djokovic, albeit he did very, very well, is the hands at the net, because you don't see Djokovic at the net very often. You don't see Nadal at the net very often, but you certainly see Federer at the net. So you expect Federer with his skill set to be able to transition to doubles pretty well. And yet, who knows, you may do that when he's sort of no longer playing singles, but it's a tough game.
Jerome Iaconi serving. Do you generally believe that we'll see the likes of Federer or Novak or Rafa playing on the doubles tour at the end of their career?
No, I don't. But geez, it would be wonderful if they did, wouldn't it? It'd be absolutely wonderful. You know, a bit of longevity around the career. I mean, Roger, wherever he goes, is feted as a super champion and one of the nicest blokes on tour, and won that many sportsmanship awards. I think everybody'd love to see him play. Imagine the crowds watching him play if he was playing doubles. I mean, was it Hewitt came back and played doubles for a fair while, didn't he? Played Davis Cup as well.
Did go himself wild cards in the Australian Open. Served by Iaconi, big down the middle, holding serve in the opening stages of this first set. As we see court number 1, Downey serving to Scotty Jones. Beautiful return of serve. But it's interesting you make mention of that. Andy Murray is really in the twilight of his career, Shane. He's playing singles. He wants to get to the magical 50 singles title mark. I think he's on 46, 47. Made the final of the Sydney International and unfortunately lost that match. I love Andy Murray. His brother Jamie Murray is one of the best doubles players in the world. Do you think we'll see him play doubles with Jamie Murray towards the back end, really, of his career in the next 24 months?
Well, I think Murray did enough in the Australian Open to show everybody that he still got it. But my concerns around Andy Murray is, given the severity of his back problems he had, can he go deep into the draw, play 7 matches? I mean, you know, doubles is you share the load. You know, the matches are shorter. You know, in Grand Slam doubles matches, you're playing best of 3 sets with a match tiebreaker of the 3rd set. So it's a lot shorter match. I mean, very, very hard for anybody with any injury cloud to go through and play 7 matches, best of 5 sets. So if he's looking to prolong his career, and he certainly plays very, very well with his brother, doesn't he?
Adam Kehan serving. Close to the camera. Cottesloe winning the first set 6-4.
I just think with 2 lefties serving, but they lack that variation. That's where I think the left and right handers have that variation. If 2 lefties play together and they play together well, one of the lefties has got to be the flat serve wide on the back on the forehand court.
And there it is, beautiful left-hander down the line. It is a unique combination, the 2 lefties. Again, we don't see it all that often, but when you don't see it often, it takes you a little while as a right-hander to really start recognising that your opponents are actually left-handed, Shane.
Yep. Nice hands from Iaconi. He's got beautiful soft hands, hasn't he, Adam? And I just think that, you know, you're looking at both Adam Kehan and Brenton Bacon serving. They both get a lot of slice on their serve. So as a defending pair, you know the spin you're going to get. So, you know, often the lefty can hit a flat ball down the middle on the backhand court, but very few hit the ball wide out in the forehand. If you can do that, then you open up that side of the court.
Overplaying that forehand, Lucas Katsumakis.
And then you don't get the forehands down the middle either. You don't get those sort of things either.
Katsumakis serving against Adam Kehan. My name is Brett Patten, joined by Shane Smedley, over 50s world doubles runner-up, former Competitions League manager for Tennis West. Hope you enjoyed today's broadcast, brought to you by Scotty Walsh from Scotty Walsh's Media through the West Australian live feed. Right throughout this Australian summer of tennis. Of course, Goods Property Services, one of the great sponsors of WA tennis. Alongside the lights, who sponsor the rest of the leagues, is Taipower. Beautiful hands there by Jerome Iaconi. Even Scotty Walsh gave it the double clap. proud Alexander Park's patron.
You know what surprises me out here, watching both courts? Even the boys are serving big, but they're playing on grass, and what they'll do is they'll serve and stay back. They'll hit a couple of ground strokes, then they'll come in. Why would you wait that long to get into the net if you're going to come behind it and take the risk on a couple of ground strokes where you get a good quality first serve and then come in behind the quality first serve?
That's a question to be asked of all the coaches around
Isn't
town
it?
at the moment about the quality or the gamesmanship of how do you play and put together a good doubles combination, as Lucas Katsumakis serving against Brenton Bacon from Cottesloe.
I mean, it certainly makes sense on a clay court. It can make sense on a hard court, but on a grass court, when the bounce can be a little bit more problematic and the ball can skid through a bit harder, a bit faster, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. While they understand they've got to get to the net, so they'll hit 2 or 3 ground strokes, hit a big ball, then come into the net. Why not do it behind the serve and you've got control of the point?
Hearing the voice of Shane Smedley, former competition league manager for Tennis West. Katsumakis serving. Nice overhead. It's a nice little swinging serve there by Lucas Katsumakis. I mean, he's a Greek heritage, Lucas. Obviously follows the great Stefanos Tsitsipas. Have you enjoyed this Australian Open, Shane?
Yeah, I have. I've really enjoyed. We talked earlier about the whole Special K thing and that, what that's doing for tennis. I've enjoyed watching. I've enjoyed seeing the younger guys come up without Djokovic playing, without Federer playing. Murray had a pretty good result, but was never really likely to get through 7 rounds. And to see the second tier of boys play, really good.
Just been given some feedback here. It's Luca Katsumakis. I've been calling him Lucas Katsumanis for the best part of the afternoon, but thank you for calling in, Luca. Become a bit of a cult following, Luca Katsumanis. Beautiful hands there by Alexander Park. Overhead backhand volley against change of ends as we skip across to the top court. Alex Downey serving, currently trailing by a set and 1 game to love.
I knew Patsy is one of the top players in the state for a long period of time and #1 league player on 2 or 3 occasions, I seem to remember. Did you enjoy your singles or your doubles more?
Always singles.
Always singles, yeah.
I found singles more enjoyable because you had to figure out a way against your opponent. Doubles was very tactical, hit and, 1 hit out of every 2, 3, 4 shots.
Wasn't enough for you?
Wasn't enough. I like to be able to control the point. So the singles was what I enjoyed doing the most. But again, doubles is a very specialised sport, and we're seeing that here today with the Downey brothers.
And of course, you made a very, very good combination with your brother Darren. You and Darren were well known on the tour, on the WA tour, and you also played. Didn't you play some seniors events nationally as well? You won a nationals event.
Lucky enough to play with my big brother Darren, who was one of the best players in Australia, top 10 in Australia back in the early 90s, and won the Australian over 45 doubles championships at the Bustleton Tennis Club only 18 months ago, 2 years ago.
I remember
it was a wonderful
watching.
experience.
I remember Darren playing the Australian indoors when they used to have the Australian indoors, and he played Slobodan Zivijinovic.
Indeed he did, and Slobodan was top 10 in the world at that stage, and Darren lost in that first round match, primetime TV. Beautiful hands there from the Downey brothers. Oh, beautiful hands.
Great hands. Well, that's quality. Oh, you're in trouble now. Yep.
Lovely constructed point there by all players. Consider the Downey brothers. Beautiful Will Hann hitting the overhead. But yeah, Darren was a quality player. There's no question about it. Great athlete.
Oh, super athlete, wasn't he?
And
great competitor.
Great competitor. Great hands. Lost to Slobodan Zivijinovic, who won the Australian indoors only 12 months prior. And Darren had his opportunities.
He did.
It was Slobodan. And it could have been a sliding doors moment for Darren. Darren, again, was top 10 in Australia, number 7 in Australia, top 400 in the world. And there's sliding doors moments in tennis.
Yeah. And I vividly remember that West Australian carrying a picture. He played Slobodan in this early round match, and it was very, very close. And I don't think it got to the stage where it was on Darren's racket, but it was very tight. And there was a picture of a change room, it was a men's locker room, and I think there were 6 of Slobodan's rackets all smashed on the ground because he obviously wasn't happy with his performance.
I think we've all played players like that, where they walk off and think they should have beaten one of us and go ahead and let off a little bit of frustration, Smeds. No doubt that you would have come across players who thought they were better than you and then decided to destroy a couple of rackets.
Yeah. I think we've all
Gave them the 1-2 touch-up.
We've all seen that. And of course, WA Tennis has been blessed with some top international players coming over here.
Wonderful rally there from Bacon and Kehan. Good holders serve. 2 games apiece here on this bottom court after Cottesloe won the first set 6-4.
And you were talking about WA Open before as a lead up to the Australian Open at Wimbledon, the Australian Open at Kooyong. Who we saw Noah and Edberg. You remember some of the other more recent names we used to see?
Leighton Jewett came across and won the WA Open.
Josh Eagle came over, didn't
Josh
he?
Eagle played.
Paul
Peter
Kildare.
Shamaki played. Heath Denman played. We saw the likes of
David Graham,
Kent Kinnear. We saw some of the great English players come across and play as well. One of the commentators who's on TV at the moment, as we see Jerome Iaconi serve. I know that Pat Rafter came across and played the WA Open here with Mark Philippoussis at the Alexander Park Tennis Club when it was the WA Open held here.
That. Yeah, it was right here. Yeah.
James Sekulov, one of the great players from WA, who was one of the only Australian players ever to defeat Roger Federer back in the year 2000. He played this event.
I do remember that on these courts, and they had corporate boxes all along the side of court 1 there. I remember that. And do you remember a player, Philip de Wolf?
I do.
Didn't you knock him off somewhere? Wasn't he a Belgian Davis Cup player?
In the semi-final of the French Open back in the mid-90s.
De Wolf did.
Philip de Wolf did. Played the lead-up to the Davis Cup here in 91 at Kings Park. Played the Fremantle Championships alongside the number 1 Belgian player, Bart Weiss, who was the number 1 player and the number 1 player for Belgium during those years. And Eduardo Masso, Libor Pimic. They played a lead-up tournament at the Fremantle Tennis Club. A week before
you beat Philip de Wolf, wasn't it?
I defeated Bart Weiss, the number 1 seed. He was 62 in the world.
Excuse me.
And then Philip de Wolf I played in a quarter-final, and I was up a set and serving for the match, and I fell down and a diving backhand and unfortunately fractured my thumb serving for the match. And they dropped Bart Weiss for the Davis Cup, funnily enough.
Because you knocked him off.
And he said to me at the change of, well, certainly not the change of events. When we went up to shake hands, he said to me that, referring to the grass, that cows eat this crud. Is exactly what he said to me.
I seem to remember Yevgeny Kafelnikov saying the same thing when Russia came over and played Davis Cup.
He lost to
grass.
Wayne Ferreira. He said, this is a potato field. I overplayed that forehand, and he throws the racket at Adam Kehan. Not happy with that result. Obviously frustrated with the easy shot and the put-away as we skip across to court number 1, Shane.
Yeah, Cottesloe are doing it pretty easy now. 3-love with a break.
Must-win match here. Scotty Jones, Will Hart, closest to the camera against the Downey brothers. Up a set and 3-love. Quality partnership between Will Hart and Scotty Jones.
It is, yeah. I think if the 2 Downey boys go down, they've got to go down close. The matches have got to be really close. They can't afford to have they're already down 3-love in the second set. They can't afford to be blown out in the second set because if by some chance Alexander Park win the second doubles match, it will then come down to sets and games. So they really need to be focusing on that. Can't afford to let it get away from them.
Scotty Jones, quality player. Again, went to the University of Tennessee for a 3 or 4 year program. Won the Australian Under-18s Championships on the back of the wildcard playoffs at Melbourne Park back in December, would have been 2018. Quality player, and we can see that out here today where he's starting to dominate on the doubles court.
So, question without notice. Everybody's talking about how good Scotty Jones is and undefeated. How does he compare to the guys that we used to play with? Guys like Dave Cully, Mark Halliwadi. Where would he sit in that space?
See the return, nice deep return. Good hands there. The one-hander running. Yeah, look, it's hard to compare generations. I mean, you look about the greatest player of all time. The people are comparing Rafa to Rod Laver to Pete Sampras. I mean, how do you compare generations? I think that the technology has changed over the years.
Equipment's certainly changed, yeah.
And so that's in itself plays a part in how players play the game nowadays. And I think while Scotty Jones is small in stature, some of the players that we used to play against, Mark Illawarra was one of the greats from WA Tennis, from Queensland originally. I mean, he's 6'1", 6'2". Brother Darren was 6'2", 6'3". Big games, good athletes. It'd be interesting to see how they would adapt to the technology change over the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay, assuming the technology was the same, how would you go? How would you have gone against Scott Jones when you were at your top?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
No, how would you have
I'll
gone?
always say that I was going to chop him up.
Yeah, but everybody expects you to say that. But just, what would you say? What would you say?
My game style compared to what the game style is nowadays, I was a
You
very
don't-
aggressive
You don't
game
see
style.
it. You don't see it anymore, do you?
You don't see the serve and volley. It's a beautiful return from Scotty Jones. I mean, the serve and volley has gone out of the game, and that's the way Shane Smedley, you and I, and that generation of the 90s, the 80s were brought up, and it's changed. Technology has changed. It's made it hard to serve and volley because the return of serve, the light rackets, the strings have got more grip. You can take big cuts at the ball. And it's a
Rackets
lot
are more
different.
powerful, aren't they? So ground strokes become so much more important. But you're always strong off the ground. There, you could hit some incredible forehands. You used to hit a slice back, and most of the time, but your serve and volley was exceptional. And I just think that you're probably underselling yourself. I think that your game would still stack up today against someone like Scott Jones.
Shane Smedley, Australian over 50s champion and also the world over 50s doubles runner-up. I mean, great insights, Shane. I always like it when you're on my side for a change. It's very rarely that we see Shane Smedley giving me some praise. But, I mean, it's changed. I mean, the whole game has changed. If we look at... Oh, that's a
lovely shot.
We're on the top court, though, but we saw a tube opportunity on the bottom court. So we see Adam Kehan just looking back at the opponent as we switch across back to the top court.
See, we would never have taken a dive then. Never taken over. We'd have stood up and faced the ball, the racket in front of us, and backed our hands. That was good enough.
Absolutely. Worn it on the body. Worst case, if you don't hit it on the strings, you take it on the body.
Yeah. And you don't rub it, and just get on with it. Just like the cricketers do.
Change of ends. Serving on number 2 court, Luca Katsumakis. Been pronouncing Lucas's name wrong for the best part of an hour and a half. That's okay. Thank you for calling in. I think it might have been...
Apologies to the family.
Scotty Walsh is getting a lot of feedback and fan mail around the pronunciations of some of our names. I think I'm pronouncing Shane Smedley right.
No, you've got that right, but you've known me for 30 years, so... See, I look at that and I watched Luca serve then. So he served, he's hit a second serve that's landed middle of the box, and obviously very, very hard to come in behind that. So he stays back on the baseline. These two boys at the other end, the Cottesloe boys at the other end, very strong doubles player. They've come in at him. He had no option but to lob and hit it long. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when you're serving up into the breeze too. So you know the ball's going to come flying back.
Lucas serving.
See what he does this time.
Oh, how's the hands? Oh, again, just unfortunately couldn't rip that up and over. Short ball, trying to get that spin from low to high. Very difficult from that position in the court.
You know, and looking at that on his hands in those last 2 volleys, they were quality volleys, weren't they? They were quality volleys, so he clearly can do it. So why do you give away net position for when you can volley like he does? Looks like Luca must have been a member of the Pizzy Cup team at one stage.
Would have been one of the top 8 schoolboys in the state. Again, a little bit of hard hands at the net from Jerome Iaconi, former Australian Pizzy Cup champion. This, I think it used to be called the Colgate Cup. It used to be
that's right.
And then changed to the Australian Cup only a matter of 3 years ago.
The best 8 men, or best 8 junior men and junior women in schools in WA would go across and play all the other state schoolboys, schoolgirls team, for want of a better name, Pizzy Cup.
Some of the greats from the yesteryear, Jason Stoltenberg and Todd Woodbridge, they all played Pizzy Cup. Wonderful grounding. I knew you were a big part of that, Shane. You were taking teams away. Obviously the initiator of the program at Applecross Senior High School, which has become the greatest tennis program in Australian schools at this stage. Just part of 10 years. You must be very proud of having your name associated with one of the awards there.
Yeah, very, very proud that the traditions continued and the programs developed under the guidance of, I think it's Lance Hines today.
Lance, and before that it was Lee Jarvinen. Before that it was Shane Smedley.
Yes, and I had the pleasure to take Brenton Bacon away. I took Bojana Babusic away, Matty Ebden away.
Rhys Johnson.
Didn't take Rhys Johnson away. Oh, did I take Rhys Johnson? No, I think he was later than me.
He was a former NCAA #1 ranked doubles player.
That's right, he was. Yeah, could have used him.
Good hands there.
Tate
Adam
Roberts,
Kahan.
Jamin
Break a
Crab.
serve, change of ends.
Tate Roberts, Jamin Crab. Who else do we have?
Plenty of quality athletes coming out. Storm Sanders, was she part of the Apricot
Yes, she
program?
was. Yeah, Casey Delacroix was.
Astra Sharma.
Astra Sharma, Storm Sanders.
Oh, beautiful. Return of serve from Dan Downey. Just starting to lift his brother up.
We actually won it here. We won it here in Perth. I think it's the only time it's ever been.
1990.
Yeah, we won it right here in Alexander
Steph
Park.
Martin and Donna Blackwell. Steph
Yes.
Martin defeated Donna Blackwell on the Colgate singles. I think
Yes.
Paul Fairchild was part of your team. Adam Howard.
And yes,
Shout out to all 4 of those athletes.
Jeremy Bode.
Jeremy Bode. I remember playing at the final at Mount Lawley Tennis Club. Certainly the Colgate singles. Lovely touch, if you don't mind. Just high five, and there's the end of the match there for Cottesloe Tennis Club. Scotty Jones and Will Hann defeating the Downey brothers in straight sets to give Cottesloe a 3-2 lead in this very important match, 1v3. Cottesloe sitting on top of the ladder and all to play for, and Cottesloe Tennis Club is certainly the leader right now as far as the competition is concerned. We don't know some of the other results from around the ground. Some of the other results may well have been called off given the heat rule today. It was 39.3 at one stage, dropped down below 38. And we're witnessing the #2 court with Brenton Bacon, Adam Kehan up against Jerome Iaconi and Luca Katsumakis. Very important match this now in the context of the season.
Yeah, I think that was a result Alexander Park could ill afford. But look, I think the second set was either 6-love or 6-1. They couldn't afford to drop that set as comfortably as they did, because that could have an impact when it comes to games. And I understand that Hensman Park did play today. They did play. Obviously, Cottesloe sit above Hensman Park, both equal top of the ladder. Cottesloe, by virtue of the sets that they've won over the course of the season so far, and there are other than bragging rights to finish top of the ladder, you do get home ground advantage. So you did mention earlier on that Hensman Park have won 4 of the last titles, and Cottesloe have been runners up a number of times. They'll be very, very keen to play any final on their home grass courts rather than going to the hard courts at Hensman. So I think that's what it was all about today.
No question about that, as we change access to Rhys MacDougall to carry you through to the final stage of this #2 doubles place.
Thanks, Brett. It's all getting pretty close out here, isn't it, on court #2?
Welcome back, Rhys. I was just saying to Brett as you were coming in that it's probably something that Alexander Park ill afford was an easy second set there. If the match does get really tight and it comes down to rubber sets and then games, that 6-1, 6-love second set could have a big result on the overall outcome.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And it could end up being that way depending on what happens out here. But of course, Alexander Park must win this second doubles rubber, and it's very tight again. Have you enjoyed the doubles?
Yeah, it's been good, hasn't it? I mean, Cottesloe have done really well just to go about their business and really, holding serve, putting themselves in the position to win. And now it's up to Alexander Park. Really, they're going to have to lift, aren't they? These final stages here. Otherwise, it's all over, and Cottesloe win the rubber and win the day.
Yeah, given the way the other matches have gone, without having a look at a score sheet in front of me, I wouldn't be surprised that even if Cottesloe win this match, even if Alexander Park win this match, they might go down by a set.
Yeah, I haven't done the numbers, but I think that might be the case. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Cottesloe are in the box seat here, but they'd like to close it out here and win. Cottesloe, from Cottesloe's perspective, anyway, I would like to finish this set off in straight sets.
And it's been a high quality doubles match. I always judge a doubles match by how well the players serve and how well they volley, and the volley's been generally pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's a high standard. These guys can all volley, they can all play, so it's been a pretty high standard. One break of serve in the second set has been the decisive point here. So now Jerome obviously needs to hold here at 3-5.
Did you have a catch up with Jerome after his singles? And do you have a catch up with Jerome after his singles?
No, unfortunately not. No, didn't really get a chance to speak to him properly after the singles. But yeah, we'll definitely reflect on that and just see how those moments when he was in front, if there was any pressure, scoreboard pressure when he was looking around. That's really the most interesting thing for me. I know as a player myself, sometimes you get over-invested in, as a team player, you get over-invested in what's going on in the other courts, even though you shouldn't, and you need to focus on your own singles match, whether or not that played a part in what happened in that first set. But yeah, we'll wait and see. We'll find out about that.
You know, and I always really valued the self-assessment. It was always great to, when you're working with players, is to, you know how they've gone, but it's really important to see if they knew how they went and what their strengths and weaknesses were, what let them down, how they saw the match. I think that's where a lot of value lies.
Yeah. Good first serve. That's a hold there. So looks like Cottesloe now 5-4 up, serving for the match and for the tie to go 4-2 up in rubbers.
Yeah, and this is going to be a tough ask for Alexander Park here. You've got a left-hander serving down breeze with the wind coming over his shoulder, so it's going to be a tough ask to break serve. You know, really, if Cottesloe can hit 4 first serves, then the job should be done really, because it's, you know, there's a bit of breeze there, and it's certainly helping the left-hander.
Yeah, and no breaks of serve so far from the Cottesloe team, so they've been able to hold serve, haven't they?
Been
So
very solid, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting the job done here for Cottesloe, but we'll see how pressure plays a part here.
And they've served well, but you know, they've backed it up with really good volleys too. They're just making Cottesloe are just waiting for Alexander Park to get out of the seat. Alexander Park are taking all their time.
Yeah, as you'd expect, you could just let Adam think about it here. Adam's probably the least experienced on the court out of all these 4 players as far as the high-level tennis goes. Luca himself has played a lot of tournaments.
Great pickup. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. That is an absolute beautiful
Great first
shot.
Point.
Yeah, great half
for-
volley,
for-
wasn't
yeah.
it? And then a little roll cross court.
Yeah.
And I see Adam Kehan's rocking the Dunlop volleys. You'd appreciate it. You used to play in Dunlop volleys, didn't you?
Well, we talked about the Dunlop volleys.
Did
Yeah, I
you
played a
really?
couple of matches in the
I
Dunlop
remember
volleys.
playing Dunlop volleys.
Yeah, I found it. I actually found it quite hard, but
Yeah,
unbelievable shoe. Unbelievable shoe. I played probably about 3 or 4 tournaments in it, and I just found that it was just the pounding on the body. I just couldn't bear it. So I still have a couple of pairs of Dunlop volleys though.
Yeah, and I think also, I mean, the herringbone sole was the secret to the Dunlop volleys, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
not a lot of support. Not a lot of support if your feet move laterally, like a lot of the newer shoes have, being a canvas upper rather than a leather upper. They tended to move a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably fair to say not a lot of support anywhere really.
No, pretty flat sole.
Yeah, other than the herringbone, the herringbone, that was it. That's all it really had to offer.
There was no heel
No,
pattern or anything.
nothing,
It was like all the new
nothing,
shoes have.
absolutely nothing.
But they became a fashion item there for a while. I remember a lot of the
They
kids
still
were
are. Look, they're a great shoe for that respect.
They had blue ones, green ones, red ones.
So what are we up to here? 40-15. Looks like match point.
Yeah, pretty much according to script, isn't it? Solid on serve. He's missed that one. 40-30 now. Kahan's still got another point to take the match and to take the rubber for Cottesloe for the day. And they've been solid on serve, haven't they, all day? You know, on their doubles. They haven't dropped serve, made a high number of first serves, backed up well at net on the volley.
Yeah, great net support there, isn't there? Both players able to back up the serve with on the net there.
Well, he's made it. He's
hit
made
the
it.
shot.
That's
That's a break point. Yeah, back in game.
Break
back
serve on a
5
toss
all.
spin lob. That was an incredible shot from Luca. Absolute top
Great
corner,
hands from Luca.
wasn't it?
Yeah, beautiful lob.
Yeah, Luca. I didn't think that was going to drop in. But obviously, a lot more spin that looked through the air. 5-all.
5-all. Game on.
Live again.
So officially, it looks like Cottesloe have won this rubber today. No matter what happens, yeah. So that set was costly.
Yeah, thought it was.
Even if Alexander Park managed to get over the line here,
they'll still go down by.
They'll still go down by a set, which is unfortunate. But obviously for Alexander Park, there's crucial points on the line here, and they need to try and win this doubles just to secure those extra 2 points.
Well, Alexander Park is sitting in third place, so every point becomes important.
Exactly.
That's a lovely shot.
Beautiful shot, just well controlled down at the toes of Adam Kehan there, and made it very hard for Adam to pick that one up.
He's come up with some quality shots, Luca, hasn't he? My only criticism would be his second serve on occasions looked quite weak. And what that doesn't do, it doesn't allow his net partner to come into the point. He's under pressure straight away, having to do a high-quality volley straight away.
Yeah, absolutely agree. But there you go, first serve ace.
First serve ace, yeah.
It's just hit the big bomb. He can go after that first serve, but I agree with you. Yeah, Luca, he's one of those players. He needs to work a little bit harder on that second serve. He can be a little bit lazy with his tennis. Unbelievably talented.
Yeah, on the point before, Luca had a very short, low-pace second serve, and poor old Jerome was just anchored at the net. They couldn't really do anything. And as you know, in doubles, it's all about your net player helping you out.
There we go, second serve here, so we'll see what he comes up with.
Lovely point.
Wow, yeah, well played.
That's a lovely point. He held serve. Despite that, he held serve. Well done. Did his job.
You're right, though. He just rolled that second serve in, didn't he? And you know, makes it 50-50 from there on, doesn't it? And if he can get a little bit more out of that second serve, just put his net player in a bit more of a position of strength, that would obviously help their doubles moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably something he needs to look at. I mean, obviously the speed's not great, but he could increase his speed by increasing his racket over the ball and hitting a lot more kick than what he does. It looks like he comes around the side of the ball a little bit and there's not a lot on it. The advantage on a grass court may die on the return of server, but if you're the volleyer and you've got a ball coming at you super fast because the serve's not very strong, it makes it hard to get involved actively in the game. So maybe that's something you can work on. But he held serve well. So now Brenton's serving to stay in the second set here. Lovely volley from Adam. Crowd enjoyed that one.
News just coming in that Ash Barty was successful and winning the Australian Open. So fantastic effort from the Australian Ash Barty.
So did she win it in straight sets?
She won in straight sets.
6-3 was the first, wasn't it?
6-3, 7-6, I believe, was the score.
Tight second set.
Although I need to double check that and confirm that.
We'll have to get home soon so we can watch this doubles. 4 Australians playing in the doubles. We have to get home and watch that.
Yeah, so it's been confirmed there. Obviously, Ash Barty winning 6-3, 7-6, so fantastic effort.
We're in a tie break now in the second set, and you'll start to see a lot of the tactics come out now.
Disappointing miss there from Jerome. He would like to have made that volley.
Yeah.
He was in position, but
Just looked a bit static on his feet, didn't he? Let the ball get a bit behind him.
down the footwork.
You know what we haven't seen in both courts today is any doubles formations. They've been very straight up and down, haven't they?
I think there's a couple of I formations on court 1, but there hasn't been too many on this court, has there?
No. Do you guys know the score in the tiebreak here?
No, I don't. Sorry, but the boys over there would.
Don't know it now? What's the Okay, so we've got Cottesloe at 5-1 in the second set tiebreaker. It's a standard 12-point tiebreaker, first to win 7 points. Changed it up. Well played, Luca. Jerome had a few opportunities there to put the smash away and just couldn't get enough speed on it. And typical doubles play, we got a pair at the net in the attacking position, you got a pair at the baseline defending, and they were defending lobs. But Luca came at the very, very classy short smash. So 2-5. Cottesloe leading. All the work to be done by Alexander Park.
So great volley there from Adam, just crossing there, big point. So now 2-6 match points.
So match points for Cottesloe to win the day 4-2. Yeah, no mistake by Luca then, well played. 6-3 still on the record of Cottesloe.
2 serves to come. Cottesloe here serving 6 points to 3.
Now with Kehan to serve, speaking to a fellow lefty, he's going to go a big breaking serve wide, isn't he?
He'd have to go wide, surely.
And cover the line.
Cover the line. Brenton will hold and just look for the line. And oh, there we go. There it is.
All over.
Rhys MacDougall just signing off. Wonderful contribution by Rhys MacDougall for the round 10 of the Goods Property Service WA State League competition. As we see Cottesloe Tennis Club defeat Alexander Park 4 rubbers to 2. Shane Smedley. My name is Patten. You heard from Rhys MacDougall throughout this afternoon. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast brought to you by Scotty Walsh at Scotty Walsh's Media. 4 rubbers to 2, 1 versus 3. Cottesloe remain top of the table, but gee whiz, they had to fight for every point, and Alexander Park absolutely will be thereabouts at the pointy end of the season, Shane Smedley.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a really important day for Cottesloe to win. They needed to win today. The issue that they had is they're at top of the ladder at the moment, but they needed to get keep ahead of Hensman. So I think Hensman were playing today on hard at home, so they needed to win. So they've done their job. It was probably a lot closer than people thought when the day started. So yeah, I think they've got the job done. There was some really tight matches. The first 2 singles were match tiebreakers. And congratulations to Cottesloe, but congratulations at the Park on a great day. Well turned out again. And I must say, great job by Rhys MacDougall.
Absolutely, great job by Rhys MacDougall.
First time in the chair.
Coach for Mount Lawley Tennis Club, coach of Jake Dambo, the #1 player in the under-14s across Australia, won the Wimbledon Rhys to play at Wimbledon in the Under-14 Championships later this year in the second week of Wimbledon. My name is Brett Penn. Of course, this is Shane Smedley. We want to thank Scotty Walsh and Goods Property Services, and also want to thank Tyre Power for powering the WA Tennis League right across this summer of tennis. Looking forward to bringing you all the results from across the next week of WA State League tennis, men's and women, another 4 rounds right into finals. This is Shane Smedley. My name is Brett Patten. We're signing off. Thanks for your patronage.
Thank you.